Even better.
I don't remember what happened last session, to be honest.
I don't really know. Nothing much additional has happened since the last 17, or the last like 3 weeks. Probably roll back around to me, see if I think of anything.
I have an idea if you want to go to me. Now that we have 3 weeks, I wanted to do this before, but apparently we would have gotten fucking killed if we left the city. So, I want to see if I can enlist people to help me look at that ruined site in search of pearls of power and other fun little trinkets that might be there. Yeah, that's a very fancy way of putting it. Yeah, I'll invite my party with me too if anyone wants to come. If we find stuff, there might be more than just pearls of power there, and specifically if they want to help pay for some of the expedition, that'd be okay. Okay.
I'll fund half that if you want to pitch.
Okay. Damn, okay, let's see. How much gold do I... I have enough to cover that solo if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Let's see. I have 402 gold. I don't really spend money on much. So how much was it again? 350 gold, which makes it... What's 350 divided by 2?
175, yeah.
Okay, got it. Sure. Maximus, would you like to join me? Or would you like to just give me money and then have me go?
I would love to join you.
Awesome, cool.
I'm gonna be real. She goes on an expedition to where now?
To find a pearl of power.
Yeah, so basically there was a bunch of priests, like magical priests back then and stuff, like a whole battle was fought. And there is rumored to have been, of interest to me, pearls of power there. However, there's also likely different kinds of magical items if this is actually the place where the battle was fought, which in the records it's supposed to be. I've invested some time researching into it, relatively certain that there'll be something. If there is, and you guys want to help fund it, then you'll get some loot. If not, I'll just sell the loot and make our money back, hopefully.
You gonna sell it? I thought you were looking to keep something specific.
Yeah, but if things aren't relevant to me, then I'll just try and make my money back from the expedition.
I'd be willing to help with the funding, but I don't know if I have time to come.
That's okay. It's 350 gold. Maximus and I are doing 50-50. If you'd like, we can go thirds, or you can just chip in whatever you want. Maximus is the fucking sugar daddy. So.
This is a conversation with everyone. Granny, I will take out 1 gold piece. Make sure it is me.
Okay.
I'll chip in 175, irrelevant of what anyone else chips in.
Got it. So Granny is going to give us 1 gold.
Wow.
Severus, would you like anything?
Well, it sounds like you're all kind of, already spending quite a bit. How much do you
Well,
think
Maximus is
the
gonna
scale?
put 175 in. Granny is gonna put in 1 gold. I'm gonna put whatever is the difference. If you would like
I'll
to donate
put
to the
in-
expedition, then you'll maybe get something back. Perhaps. You find something.
I will put in 124 gold.
Oh my god. Okay,
Then you only have to put in another 50.
got it. We'll put in 50. Are you sure that you want to put in that much? I can take more of it.
That's fine.
Okay.
This gives me more equity, which means more possibility for profit on my side also.
Based.
Also, I'll keep in mind I'm putting 124 in here, but I'm only putting I'll be putting down 24 of those on Granny's behalf.
Aw. Got it.
Feels good, man.
24 on Granny's behalf. Got it. Okay. And Severus.
And also, if you need any identification, you don't need to hire anybody to do that.
Got
You
it.
can do that when
Yeah.
you're back. I'm just gonna. Well, I might be able to come. Let me just take. It'll take 1 day for me to find out if I can come.
Okay, I'm down to wait a day. Alright, and then Zebnius isn't even with us.
Yeah. Feels bad, man. But he's alive.
He's alive.
So,
Yeah,
Severus,
good for
what
you
is the
guys.
thing? What is the thing you need to do?
And visit Zednius, of course.
Oh, again?
I want to see if he wants
Oh,
me.
where am I
Yes.
right now?
You would still be at your state.
Recovered.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
in
actually,
Austin.
wait.
Okay. Yeah, I might not even be home.
You're right. It's been 3 weeks. You are, yeah. So Severus, you get on horseback and ride across the countryside of Mythasia, and eventually to the province of Cisatlia, through outside the city of Tarraco towards the estate of Zednius. And while there is a master servant waiting, the sowing season, the planting of crops, is done, so only a small number of the debt slaves employed by Zednius remain on the property. The majority, go about their business elsewhere. And the master servant sort of, approaches you as you ride hard into the rotunda. You technically, it's supposed to be a 2-day trip, but you could have ridden very hard in 1 day to get there. So
You didn't know that Zednius wasn't in town?
he didn't.
Like in those
He did not tell you, no.
Unfortunate. Well, unfortunate. Some time wasted.
The master servant will, of course, explain that Lord Zednius and Master Tullius have found that they'd like to stretch their legs, and he knows that they went eastward. They should be back before the month is out.
Well, the month is out. Zednius' current condition, is that alright?
The master servant will shrug. Master Tullius seemed to indicate that Lord Zednius was mostly fine.
Okay. Yeah, just tell him I was here, I guess, if he comes back.
I will inform him when he returns.
Right.
And you have no choice but to find either a place in the city of Tarraco, or, roadside inn to sleep in, and then you can start riding back to the capital.
Did I ride through the night?
You can, but you're starting to push into exhaustion territory, and it's just like, what's the point,
Do not delay the excavation.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can ride through the night, gaining a level of
I'll be
exhaustion.
fine. Yes.
You arrive back in the city on April 2nd, and...
Oh, of course, on April 1st, he trolled me about not being there.
Yeah, true.
April Fools.
You should have predicted that. And on April 2nd, news rocks the city. You four all hear of it in different ways. Granted, you're just sort of following behind Renesmee as she pulls together this expedition, and you sort of overhear some dock workers talking about it. Renesmee, you get told to it, member of the Department of Coin, who you're sort of contracting with, tells you this information. What you guys learn is that a great defeat has been suffered by the Empire of Mythdosia, not on the plains, as is kind of expected at this point. Instead, the west. A fleet of 40 ships made their way westward, led by the Vice Admiral Lucius Cornelius, and they lost hard. A total of 38 Mythosian ships were sunk, and the exact stories of how the battle happened is generally not sure, but what is universally agreed upon is that a spellcaster, a dwarvish spellcaster, was the primary, antagonist, and killed a great number of good Mythosian men.
And what side of the war are we against?
Yeah, it's odd because all the reports agree it was Al-Sarah, which historically, Mythosia and Al-Sarah have both been sort of picking at the carrion corpse of Galadrim. Like, they don't hate each other, they just both raid the exact same island. So why Al-Sarah would attack the Mythosians now, after almost 100 years of pillaging this island, is unclear. But it is certainly a state of war, and formal war was declared by the Mythosians' government, like, a few hours after the battle had taken place. And what's left of the fleet is slowly going to limp back across the Hammer's Fall to repair.
Wow. Okay.
Whatever happened to that native, indigenous ship?
Yeah,
that
you can
join us?
I think you guys will learn soon enough that, strangely enough, amongst the Mythosian fleet that went westward, there was a longship, but it's not one of the two vessels that survived the battle.
Mm.
So, it's known as the Battle of Amon Sound. So, you guys can go about your business, though. Renesmee, you'll largely be operating through the intermediary that is the Department of Coin. This is a sort of aspect of Imperial life you'd never explored before, which is the monopoly on everything. Every department holds massive monopolies, and the monopoly that the Department of Coin owns is almost the entire economy. If you want to do anything, you have to go through the Department of Coin. So you find yourselves talking with bureaucrats, and then more bureaucrats, and then private business owners, and then more bureaucrats, and eventually, after all of this and greasing a large amount of palms, which is why it costs so much, you can eventually get a small work crew with some excavating tools and an overseer, probably costing, 3 times more than it would have without the government monopoly. But surely it's for the good of the Empire.
Is there any nerdy historian professor amongst these people?
Certainly not, no. This is just a labor crew.
Okay.
If you want, you could contact your good friend in Salernum, I think is where he is now. The professor
Isn't he
from
far, though?
Isn't he what?
Far, isn't that quite far?
It's about double the distance of Tarako, which is where Severus went, so it would take him 4 days to get here.
Yeah, no, I don't want it. If we find anything of interest that even looks a little sparkly,
okay,
we'll bring it back.
All right, then you guys. Also, you have to file a claim through the Department of Civility that you're going to go salvage the battlefield, which is a perfectly, legal and fine thing to do.
Is there not a professor that's at the symposium that would be interested in going with us, or someone?
I'll offer.
No.
I'll go to the symposium and see. Oh no.
I think the reaction you'll get is that since you are not a scholar, and this just reeks of a treasure hunting expedition which they have no interest in.
Oh, okay. Not even to learn. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You never get a face-to-face explanation from an actual professor. You just get clerks that keep sending you away, being oh yeah, they'll contact you if they're interested, and then no contact comes.
All right.
So, yeah.
It's
so
pretty much treasure hunting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the 3rd of April, you guys make your way there. And it all works out because you're gonna, you'll get back in time. You'll get all your 2 weeks of digging in, and you make your way to the silty riverbank. And I guess it's worth sort of going over what the average person would know about the Battle of the Colovian Bridge. Its location would not be normally known. The specifics of why the battle was even happening wouldn't be known, but what would be known is that the Emperor annihilated the priesthood here. It was, the last stand of the Captiosan Brotherhood, which is that sect of the church that followed the old creed, and they got destroyed. Maybe not all of them killed, but the stories say that literally every single one was killed. So
Argon,
yeah.
I spent a lot of my downtime at some point learning about this battle, and that's how I found out that it was here. So I would know more than the average person on it. Yeah
I
can explain that to my party then. Imagine that what Harkon's saying, I'm kind of
True.
It's in the book that I read. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah. Renesmee can tell you great amounts about, the context of the Light Wars leading up to this and why she believes the stuff is here, why the gravesite was untouched for so long despite being relatively famous, and most importantly, why there's no bridge, because, it's called the Battle of the Colovian Bridge, but there is no bridge directly on the site that you guys will be digging. So you guys make your way southwestward with the work crew. And when you get there, it's just a riverbank. There's nothing super unique about it. And Maximus, your leadership instincts can kick in. You can start organizing the work crew alongside the overseer. Digging excavating a archaeological site isn't that different to digging trenches, as long as you don't mind breaking some stuff as you dig.
Not at all.
Yeah. So they start digging. Grania, Renesmee, and Severus, what are you guys doing as this excavation begins?
I just kind of want to be walking around and supervising. If someone looks like they're digging too hard, I'll be like, take it easy. Low key, want to make sure nobody's putting anything in their pockets, but just supervising. Bring people water, I guess, if they want it.
Yeah. Well, the first 3 days is nothing. It's yeah. Severus.
I would be going around, just assisting with detect magic as much as I can, you guys.
How much does it penetrate through dirt? Because that could actually be very helpful.
I think it's 3 feet.
3 feet. That is quite good.
Actually, I have detect magic as well, so I'd be helping them with that too.
3 feet of dirt.
And also, I'd be, as Peach said, I'd be keeping an eye on if none of the workers are stealing shit. And if I have any free time, I'd be trying to learn Imperial Sign Language.
Yeah, you would certainly have free time. Anyone that's on this expedition can progress their Imperial Sign Language by up to 8 if they wish. And then Grania, what about you?
During the times that they're helping, Grania is going to be using I can't remember the word.
You got it. No, you literally said the whole thing right. You got it.
Prestidigitation.
There you go.
Yes.
Boom.
And
Digimon.
using basically making a little light whenever they start digging deeper down.
Okay, cool. So it's a group effort using some magic. Obviously, the workers are surprised to see that, but they're happy to get the assistance. The first 3 days, even with all of your assistance, will unfortunately lend nothing because there just isn't anything to find. Because on these riverbanks, it builds up a lot of silt. You're just making your way through mud and silt for the first 3 full days, setting up wooden planks to prevent your tunnels from collapsing inward, being very careful so that, if it starts raining during this, which it is likely to, not everything will drown and potentially harm men. And soon enough, you guys will, on the 4th day, probably sever it. Well, Renesmee has slightly higher passive perception. So Renesmee, you will see, with your detect magic, 3 feet exactly, because it's right at the edge of your vision, a small glowing rod. It's located sort of diagonally of where one of the workers is digging.
Got it. Does it look deep enough where I can grab it?
It's 3 feet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I'll kind of go up to him and what's at him and be hey, have you checked over there?
He'll look over and say, no?
Would you mind digging over there?
Yes, Lady Judge. And he will start digging. And it's very frustrating for you to watch because you're it's right there. It's only 3 feet into the ground.
I mean, I want him to go and dig in another spot. I want to recover it.
Oh, okay. Then he will exit the hole, head over to the larger digging pit alongside Maximus. You glance over at Maximus as you're digging your pit, and he's shouting some orders at some guards. And the overseer is sort of just sitting on one of the wagons. I mean, he doesn't need to do much now. Maximus is sort of just taken over. You can get into this pit.
Yeah, I just want to dig, get myself
Yeah.
full of dirt.
It is frustratingly slow. Wet dirt. It's not hard to dig up clay. It's just you have to move it and you have to put it in buckets, and 3 feet down is a lot of distance. A lot. You spend the better part of several hours just in this pit digging, tossing up clods of mud.
Will, wander over after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that yourself? Didn't we hire a bunch of people to do that?
Of course, but I detected something magical here, and I wanted to be the first one to recover it.
All right then, carry on.
So after about
of some kind.
After digging yourself... Oh, Maximus.
I'll wander back over once sheep like gets it out of the earth.
Yeah, that'll take a while, because after you get about a foot down, you know, workers will come over to further reinforce the hole. It started a light drizzle, so the chance of a backslide actually killing some people starting to get higher, because your main pit's about 4 feet deep now, which technically not enough to drown people, but in mud, but it's getting there. And especially for the shorter fellows on the work crew. As for you, Renesmee, you're not really digging like an open hole. You're just trying to, you know, chip through this this thing to get down there. And when you're about 6 inches from the rod, you push down the shovel and it hits something metallic and hard, and it sort of sends a reverb up through the shovel back to you. Whatever you hit isn't magical, but it's definitely made out of metal.
But I'm confused. I detect magic.
Mm-hmm. So it can't be fully wrapped in metal or you wouldn't be able to see it. The rod.
Oh. Well, I'll keep digging at it, yeah. I
Well, yeah, you start, you know, you move down your hands and start moving side to side. And what you slowly begin to reveal is a metal skull cap, the type that would have once been worn by, well, even nowadays is sometimes worn by spellcasters. I think you guys have met the Archmage the Arcanist on the Southern Frontier. I think he wore a metal skull cap. It's a relatively common fashion. And after you finish revealing the skull cap, you reveal the skull attached to the skull cap. A worm, not the carrion type, but just like vibing in the dirt, is sort of wriggling around in one of the eye sockets of the skull. It's thoroughly rotted. You know, we're talking 80 years. So these bodies are well since, you know, skeletonized. That's not the right word, but that's okay. And you can start to pull up, you know, this skull, moving aside shoulder joints. And what you find is that this person hid this rod behind their back, maybe, or maybe they fell on their arm. That arm kind of does look broken, so that's the more likely thing. Their full body weight fell backwards, shattering their right shoulder and their elbow, and, you know, their whole body was laying atop this rod. So you have to move aside the torso, you have to move aside the skull and the skull cap, you know, some other little metal bits that are heavily rusted but have technically survived. And there, in pristine condition, other than being covered in mud, is a roughly 3.5 foot long silver rod with jewel accents at the top of it.
Oh, wow. I'll put it into like a pouch or something. I'll be careful. I'll like wrap my hand in my own cloth and then put it in a bag. I don't want to like have direct skin touch to it, just in case you like never know.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it in a bag. I'll be as careful as I can.
Sure. You put it in a bag.
Awesome. And then I'll go about, maybe I'll like show it to Maximus. I want to be pretty low-key about who I'm showing it to. I don't want everyone to get super excited and stuff.
Okay.
And then I'll continue like supervising.
Yeah. You sleep that evening. The light rain continues. The next morning, so you guys had four sort of square-shaped patches you dug into the riverbank. 2 of them back flooded on the 4th day.
I shape water the whole time.
Yeah, you can. Shape water is a 5 foot by 5 foot cube. Does it work against? My guess is that it probably just works against pure water, not against. Yeah, choose an area of water. So it wouldn't help dry out the mud, but it would help, you know, remove water from the bottom of the container. So that'll help the ones that didn't backslide. So you can help the workers as they dig. And today they will come upon the death layer. You don't know how else to describe it. Like, clearly over the last 80 years, all this silt built up and you've gotten past all that, and now it's just the actual battlefield. And there are a lot of corpses. This doesn't even look like a battle. This looks like an execution ground, like a mass grave. There are bodies laid on bodies right next to each other, sprawled over each other. Bones are intermixed with other bones. None of them show skeletal trauma, though, other than, you know, like broken arms. But none of these are like, there's no like spikes to the skull or anything like that. Which I think Maximus, for you, and actually even Severus, this would strike you as very strange because, you know, in wars, as they are, typically people have horrific skeletal trauma, like a hole in the skull or like very nasty cuts on ribs from blades. These men were not killed with bladed weapons or even projectiles.
Do they look tinged with fire? Wasn't there something
they're
fiery
like
that
scorched.
happened?
The skeletons themselves don't seem especially like blackened, whatever. If they were scorched, that likely would have, you know, sort of just not been incredibly obvious, or it was very, very fast and only did the outer layer of the body. There are some, though, like 1 in every 10 skeletons are charred black. Like even the bones are charred black.
Yeah, I feel like when I was doing my research, there was something about like someone like levitated and like did a fuck ton of fire.
The Emperor, yes.
Yeah.
The Emperor
The Almighty
truly is
himself.
mighty.
Oh yeah, and here's the
yes.
proof of it. And you know, once you get to the death layer, now instead of going downward, you start expanding outward. And this takes a lot less work than digging down, so you start to make serious progress. So much so that it's kind of hard for you and Severus to actually examine the whole site at once, just because you have like two guys digging at a really solid rate through the mud. But eventually, Severus, you will spot, you have your sort of central dig site, now tunnels expanding out, not vertically, but like horizontally out from that central dig site. And as you walk along one of these horizontal tunnels, Severus, you will see buried almost in the river itself, though clearly not, or it would have been swept away years ago, you can see a arrow.
Magical arrow.
Magical arrow right at the edge of your vision.
How far away is it?
3 feet.
And you said it was right below the river.
It's on the edge of the river, so you got like the easy sketch of this would be, one sec. So you have your riverbank, then the arrow would be like here in the dirt. So and then the water is like on the left here. So it's close to the river's edge, but erosion hasn't quite grabbed it yet, so it's still there in the dirt.
How far is it from the surface?
3 feet. Well, actually, no, it would have been more than 3 feet from the surface because you're currently standing in a tunnel. So it would be like 5 feet from the surface. But you guys are digging horizontal tunnels, so you have a tunnel over here. And when you're standing in that tunnel, that distance right here, the teal line, that's 3 feet.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it might be easier to access it from the top, to have to have the earth that you're digging up be carried away by the river, and thus have this hindrance and backslide issues.
Yeah.
I'll
notably,
ask somebody of actually knows how to excavate shit.
Okay, yeah, you can walk over to the overseer who's been lounging on a wagon.
Exactly where they're supposed to dig. I'm not going to be the one digging this myself.
Yeah, the overseer is the only member of the work crew that has some fat on his bones, and he will walk over to the riverbank with you, and he'll see the point that you point at, and he'll shake his head. No, I'm sorry, Lord Judge, that'd be unwise.
Oh, so?
Well, I mean, the dirt here around is incredibly porous. If we get that close to the river, overnight, we may just have the whole damn river flood into the rest of our trenches.
If I hear, am I anywhere near that?
Yeah, you can probably hear the overseer talking to
Okay. I'll be
Severus.
like, what if we go and do that one last? Keep in mind where it is, and, if we've already excavated the rest of the site by the end of it, who cares if it floods?
Could
That
work.
was my initial suspicion, that we just did that. What if we... let me just check my spiels.
Your spiels?
His spiels. He's a spiel caster.
Spielcaster.
What if I had people dig at it from inside? How far is it from the side of the river?
It's like 2 feet.
The side?
Which considering how porous the dirt here is, it's very, very close. If it were a magical item, it'd probably long since have rusted away.
So I'll ask the man, what if somebody would, from inside the river underwater, dig at it from the side of the river bank?
Well, I doubt
Would
I'd
that
flood
cause
our trenches, but
flooding?
it'd be dangerous. It'd be easy for men to get sucked away by the current or drown.
I could turn into a crocodile or an octopus. Octopus
Oh
is
no,
pretty.
that won't be necessary. We have rope,
Oh.
right? We have plenty of rope, right?
Of course, but, well, even a well-tied rope can sometimes slip, Lord Judge.
What about a crocodile or an octopus?
But, what about them, Lady Judge?
Well, I'm a druid. I can turn into one.
Oh, are those good at digging? I must admit I've never seen either of those creatures.
I don't know
What
about
about beaver?
crocodile.
A beaver. Well, I've seen a beaver, of course, before, but I don't know how good they are at excavating
Like
2
a
feet
giant
into
beaver.
a giant beaver.
I know that crocodiles are in real life good at digging.
Well,
Oh, are
actually,
they?
kind of. It depends. Alligators are very good at burying themselves in silt, but silt is not the same as actual compact mud. Compact mud is very difficult to dig through. Now, beaver, those actually have they're literally built. I've seen them straight up dig through soil and shit. It's fucking crazy. But they're small, and you need to dig 3 feet horizontally without the tunnel collapsing inward. Because even Renesmee, as a beaver, could get trapped in there by mud and drown. Yeah.
Couldn't I just turn into like a
wouldn't be an
fucking
issue.
huge creature and then like...
Well, you've actually, I think you've done this before. It typically, well, yeah, I guess that would squirt you out of the opening rather than, yeah, so that could work. It'd save your life at least, but it wouldn't help dig the tunnel.
Also,
and it could fuck the whole place.
it doesn't matter what you turn it into. Don't limit yourself to water animals. I have a spell that can make you be able to breathe underwater for 8 hours.
The Overseer will shrug and say, I appreciate all your magical abilities, Lords and Lady Judge, but it just seems we could go for it last, if you don't mind, on all this flooding once we're done.
Yeah.
I
that makes
think I'll
the
be
most
the
sense.
safest.
All right. And he will, return to the wagon. Ostensibly doing work, though in reality, not really. Maximus is just sort of, because it doesn't take that much work to just say dig there and don't dig there.
I'll have somebody put a wooden stake to mark.
Yeah, you put a little dowel with a little piece of cloth attached to it to denote its location. And the digging continues. And over the next 2 days, a lot of mundane equipment is found, which is functionally worthless. That first batch of bodies you found were clearly spellcasters. Probably clerics by the fact that they all wear rusted or fully gone holy symbols. But they had very little equipment beyond that because cloth rots away in, months. But the rest of the bodies you find are clearly soldiers, and they died equally horrible deaths to the priest, though a lot of them start to show signs of actual death, normal death, axes through the head, swords in the side, spears scraping the ribs, penetrating the heart, the things that you're used to seeing on corpses. This was a bloodbath. Maximus, you're not some sort of forensic whatever, but you've seen battlefields. You know what they look like, and this was a slaughter. These men are packed tight together. If they were fighting when they were killed, they were fighting for their last life, backs pressed against one another. It's a grim sight.
They were surrounded, or
likely yes, considering how close. Well, they're not just information. It's that they're all sort of curled into a ball around each other.
Okay, so that one. The Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones?
I haven't seen it, so sure.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
But yeah, they were very closely packed together, so the only 2 times you've ever seen anything like this was men who surrendered and then were executed, or men who, adopted a final last stand sort of posture and then died valiantly.
Did it look like they died particularly valiantly?
Weirdly enough, I think you'll notice this as across all your dig sites. It looks like you're only finding the bodies of one side. You'll see half a dozen dead spellcasters, but none of their victims. You'll find a whole spear squad that was brutally slaughtered, but you won't find any bodies around the exterior. So it seems as if the dead of the victor were properly taken care of rather than left here to rot.
I see.
Oh.
I see. Interesting.
That's unfortunate.
And your search can continue. You're about 6 days in now. Several other side tunnels that found nothing have now collapsed under the weight of just slight drizzles. And on this day, Renesmee, eyes scanning through the battlefield will spot something. This one, you actually don't know how you didn't spot it earlier, because this isn't 3 feet in the ground. It's only about a foot in the ground. Close enough that one of your tunnels goes directly above it, which maybe is why you didn't spot it. You're not walking around in the muck at all times. But this here is a glowing, the shape looks roughly like, you have to think about it for a moment, kind of like a crook, like a hooked scepter maybe, like a shepherd's crook, something like that. And it's glowing about 2 feet underneath one of the tunnels. Yeah, you can do it.
I mean, I'll ask someone to help me that has more knowledge.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Because of all the just constant rain, a tarp is thrown up over this section, wooden supports are placed in the side, because once you get below head level is when it gets really scary, because if the walls collapse inward, death. And sure enough, you can find it, and it's actually not what you'd originally thought. You thought it had been a crooked staff. It is instead a very warped looking bow. This thing is clearly magical because it's not tarnished and it's made out of wood, but it looks incredibly damaged. It is curled in on itself.
No, please.
I'll take a look at it itself.
Yeah.
I'll take it out and...
Yeah, I'm going to draw the shape of what it looks like on the right just so you get an idea of how fucked this bow is.
When
It's
you
sort of
identify
like
it, you realize
that.
it's a +3 bow that's been ruined beyond compare.
And right there is like the shooting portion of the bow. So this thing is like all bent out of
So-
shape.
Wait,
What's it
Oh,
made
wow.
of?
It is made out of some sort of, honestly, it looks like normal wood. Like it looks like sort of ash or like.
wait. So is this like the
Oh.
the arm missing, or is this just like
No, it's just warped outward. So what it should look like is something like
like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like
Got it.
that. But the upper arm is like curled way too inward, and the bottom arm is curled outward slightly.
Mm.
Well,
Is there still
no,
string
it's-
attached?
No, certainly not.
I'll put it in the satchel, and at the end of the day, like when we go into our tents, is when I'll probably like let people know if we found anything or.
Yeah,
maybe
you
up
show it. So
front.
yeah, that night you guys are at camp. You know, you guys have some nice large tents. You don't need to be sleeping in travel tents. And as you sort of go into the command tent, as it were, though that's a very fancy way to say a tent that can fit more than 2 people, and you can show Severus this twisted and ruined bow.
Yeah, it's kind of like maybe imagine one to the arrow. Who knows?
doesn't look very useful.
Well, it's probably beyond
Identify
belief,
it.
but it's still got a magical aura. So hopefully it's just a physical breaking, not a magical. Well, it couldn't have been a magical one. It's still magical.
Let me. I'll try and identify it. Maybe I can find something else, if you don't mind.
Oh, identify this one too, and I'll take out the wand.
The rod.
Oh,
The rod.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
The rod, after identification, is a rod of rulership. This allows you to command obedience of each creature of your choice within 120 feet of you. They must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you for 8 hours. While charmed, the creature regards you as its trusted leaders. If harmed by you or your companions, it will turn against you, or does something contrary to its nature. So there were rumors, Renesmee, that the church had, unfairly brought men to their side against the light of the Almighty. And, you're starting to wonder if maybe, any creature within 120 feet, that's a lot of soldiers. Like, that's a lot of soldiers. You could have, brought an entire, certainly a century, maybe more, just to your side with one use of this rod.
But like, is there like a
often can you
recharging
use
of it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it can be used once per week.
That's
Jesus.
so fucking strong.
Yeah. It is artifact level rarity.
Yeah, we're
Whoa!
gonna smile at it, and she'll like
That
twirl her
jackpot!
hands.
Holy shit!
Really, this won't be
I'm
a
seeing
big,
dollar
fucking
signs.
int by keeping this on us.
We're all getting our investments back on this one.
Well, we're not gonna sell it.
Oh,
Why not?
Why would we sell it? This is so fucking powerful.
Why would we?
Out of character, I will
How-
have warn you. This is like big treason to probably keep this of some sort. This is
Yeah.
like
Oh,
an
really?
item that people should not have. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
in fact,
like-
I consult my new books.
Ah,
All right, he has Imperial Laws for Dummies or something.
Sure. Yeah, you can consult your tomes. There is a section on, looting of battlefields. It's pretty simple. If essentially the way that it works is if the army of Mythosia is still present on the battlefield and you start looting it, you will be hung. However, after the Mythosian armies have left, and the battlefield has sort of been left to the carrion, as it were, for whatever reason, unless the Emperor puts a specific decree stating that it cannot be looted, which he has done in the past, it is sort of fair game. Of course, magical items are in their own category. Those are supposed to be registered with the Department of Magic. Technically, it doesn't say you need to sell them, but in almost all instances, the Department of Magic will likely request it from you and pay you for your time. They're never going to,
And if
imminent
they
domain it,
find
though.
that we held on such a powerful magic item like this without reporting it, or
Like for a
that's-
commoner, like for an average battlefield, like looter, death, like obviously, like you're not allowed to hoard magical items from the Department of Magic, who's supposed to have this massive monopoly. It would encourage bad practices. But for senators and judges, there is quite literally no law written on it because it's always dealt with on a case by case basis.
But our number will go down. No.
if they find out about it.
I mean, they
Okay,
Nobody
okay,
else has seen it except
Renesmee.
But what would we use?
What use this for? Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Enslave the minds of
hey,
men.
hey, imagine this. We're fighting another battle with the fucking Necromortis. There are a bajillion people running towards us, about to fucking party wipe. All of a sudden, one of us, dead things, etc. They're all stupid.
Wait, you
pretty
do
much.
realize that wait,
Oh,
I know you've
Is
like
this-
spent a decent amount of time with like undead like necromancers and stuff, so you should be aware of this. But the majority of undead creatures are immune to being charmed.
Oh, are they? Well,
Yes.
what if there's like a war or something? And I guess we wouldn't really be in it.
I think
Maybe more
that-
for like war
then there
casters.
should
the
be
Department
probably
of Magic can use it.
Yes, Department of Magic, Archmages, and this is something so incredibly powerful. I feel like if we handed this into the Department of Magic, even if we made quite a hefty sum off of it, we'd probably be gaining.
You could always give it to the Department of Faith as
Wait.
well.
I have an important question.
Yeah.
The body that it was found on, what did it seem like that person was?
A cleric.
A cleric.
Of our side of Mythosian?
Well, your side theoretically should have no bodies here, like the side of the Emperor, but definitely Mythosian, yeah, because this is a battlefield of a Mythosian civil
well,
war.
then there's no way this item hasn't been indexed, and there's no way no one's going to come look.
Well, this was before
No,
the
but
Great Departments
yeah.
existed.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
this battlefield has existed for a long, long time.
Yeah.
It's not
Why
like
was
we're the
no one
first people
searched
to
here?
The
scout.
main,
Yeah.
Well, the main
It's
reason
not,
no
we're
one
not the
searched
first
here
people to.
is
think
that
about it.
The
one.
use was detect magic. That seems really weird.
Yeah, so immediately after the battle, the battlefield was looted heavily because the entirety of the rival church was destroyed. However, afterward,
Even with, like rains rode away enough.
there's partially that. It's also the fact that the Emperor decreed the battlefield not to be searched for the duration of his lifetime. Now, he's been dead for, I don't know, like 90 years or something. So a long time, don't get me wrong. But also, he did a lot to, we're talking about Aurelian Varsol, the second Emperor. He did a lot to, purge the existence of much of this battle from records, because this was, depending on how you look at it, it could be viewed as his greatest shame, because he had to kill almost every single cleric in the Regina Peninsula to gain their loyalty. So this is it's not seen as shameful, but it was a brutal truth that he's largely tried to smooth over. But
What
I
were you
think
going to say before, Harkon?
the thing I was going to say before is that a weapon like this, it sounds cool, but when you actually think about the logistics of it, it is actually one of the most violating and the most horrific things ever. Because these soldiers, who could have been dominated by a rod like this, they could have been loyal to the Empire, they could have, wanted to fight for their ideals, and then they find themselves killing their brethren in a civil war that they have no real stake in. Because that's not contrary to your nature, it doesn't harm you, technically. So Rod of Rulership would certainly allow for something like that. So it's like the ultimate removal of autonomy, and the priests who use it, if they did in this way, they were using it to turn brother against brother.
This is,
Also-
yeah, this.
On top of all the things we've already mentioned, this would give us probably shine of our reputation with the department, whichever we give it to, faith or magic,
Yes,
and or B,
yes.
make us a lot of money.
That's
Yes,
true.
or maybe both at the same time, which I think is a real possibility. I think that our personal uses for our group are somewhat niche for this,
Yeah.
and I think if we handed this into, maybe we could even give it to ask Tullius if he had connections, if the Emperor personally wanted something like this, I would be interested in something like this. Or Tullius asked the Emperor's right hand, that could gain us a lot of favor.
Yeah, and if our rep goes up, then we'll actually be able to request things that would be more useful for our specific purposes, I guess.
I
It is
can
really
tell you
cool
right
we
now
found it.
that Tullius, with this rod, if Tullius had this, he could or somebody similar to him, he'd be able to wage wars with this item alone.
Pretty
Oh,
strong.
for fucking sure.
Yeah.
120 feet. Anyone in it has to make a save? Fucking
Yeah.
hell.
For 8
It's-
hours.
Yeah, it's really
It's really
this
strong.
item is actually terrifying.
Does it have
I
charges?
think we should.
Or can you just spam it?
It's once per week.
Once per week, yeah.
Oh.
How many people? Wait, was there anyone in the room with us when we identified it?
No, it's just you four.
No, just us, yeah.
Okay, keep this between us. We should not tell anybody about this who doesn't need to know, and we should have the guard at 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah,
To be
Max.
clear, it
Yes.
was-
Anybody steals this, we're in
It was
very big trouble.
Severus and I in the room, yeah?
Well, you and
And Maximus, right?
Grania and
Okay.
Maximus. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Maximus, one of the things that you consider is you haven't fought the Son of the Dragon personally. You just weren't in the legions at that time. But if they fight anywhere close to how the Boyars did, typically those armies have a very small core group of mounted knights, which are very, very strong. They're much stronger than anything Mythosia has. They're just really good at what they do. And they're not that many of them. Maybe get them all within 120 feet of you. Boom, you just got, the core unit of a Tabrashan army on your side for 8 hours, killing their brethren. It's
This could actually win the war.
daunting.
Yeah. I'm
Potentially,
going
yeah. It could
to,
certainly. Unfortunately, the war in the plains is so massive that it's maybe it could get you some advantage, but it's better. Certainly, a very powerful thing. And the Southern legions, where those little conflicts have a couple hundred guys, yeah, that's battle deciding.
Well, and
Well,
also,
the Southern
imagine
legions
you
are
bring
mostly
this into
fighting undead, though, right?
Correct, yeah.
Imagine that you
Unfortunately.
bring this into a huge war, and then, someone finds out that you have it, and they fucking kill you. That changes the tides in a terrifying way.
They could try,
Is
yeah.
this actually casting a spell?
Yes, it's casting Charm Person.
But like mass
Well, no,
person.
sorry, actually, wait, no. Sorry, I was incorrect. It is
dominate
not
her.
casting a spell. It is just charming them aggressively, and while charmed, they act as if you're their leader, so it's even better than Charm
So it
Person.
can't be counterspelled.
No, it
Yeah.
cannot be counterspell.
Wow. Yeah. Okay,
Could be
that's really
dispelled.
cool.
I'd be
It could be
tempted to
dispelled,
say,
Yeah.
I'd be tempted
All
to say
magic
this
items can be
item
dispelled unless
is.
specialized wise.
Yeah.
This item
That's
is
gonna
what?
Yeah. I'm
I'd
gonna
be tempted
that
to
we
say
should-
this item is so dangerous it might even have maybe it should be destroyed.
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
say
sure
we should
anybody
give it
should
to
ever
the
wield
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah, that's no. Maximus completely disagrees with that.
Like on a moral level.
Who would Maximus want to wield it? I mean, he's no longer a part of the Department of War, but he could just imagine how well a single legate could turn this to his use.
Yeah, I'm not in charge of who decides who gets to wield it.
Okay.
That's like
Neither am I,
You just
I'm
don't want to
saying.
destroy it.
that's like way above my pay grade.
All right.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
terrifying.
Well, let's continue our search.
Yeah, the bow that you got
What's
is
the
a
bow?
+1 enchanted bow.
Paste.
Yeah, it
Is
still
it
works.
possible to repair magic items?
Yeah, you'd need a Giga
Yeah.
Transmutation Wizard.
Like, well, how giga are we talking?
I think it's 11th level.
Um,
Certainly, the Department of Magic has at least a couple of those.
how much? Do I have any idea how much it would cost to do something like
Thousands.
this? Fix something like this? How many thousands?
Probably less than a new one. And maybe 1d5,000s.
That's good.
Should I roll right now?
No.
Okay.
You currently don't have access to those type of services in the Department of Magic, so you'd have to, that's not like a default service provided. You'd have to do some work to get that.
Like giving them a artifact level.
Sure, that, or get in contact with a transmutation wizard on your own time and then, discuss it with them from there.
Ah,
It's just that, yeah. So it's just a normal +1 enchanted bow, meaning it's +1 from the magics cast on it and not from its construction. So that's why it's able to get so bent out of shape and still eventually function. But yeah, your excavations can continue. You've burned through about 7 days so far, so the first week of excavations. And the further you get from that initial site that you dug down, the more you start to get the picture of this battle. And I think it's Maximus who probably gets the first, he's like standing on a nearby rock formation looking out at the areas you dug out. And Maximus, you finally sort of understand what's happening here. There was the river. I'm just going to move aside your tokens and then sketch it there. So there was a river running, it's the Rhegian River, I think. Running along this side. Somewhere around here, there's a bridge. In the past, you don't know where. And then there was a ring of soldiers. And then right on the riverbank, there was several spellcasters, like a group of them, all casting spells would be your guess. The reason you would guess this is because this is exactly how the modern Mythosian army functions. You have a very small core of essentially bodyguards protecting these batteries of spellcasters who unleash fireballs, scorching rays, just death upon their foes. And this entire battery looks like it got surrounded and then some horrific magical spell was unleashed which killed every single person in the core of the formation. And that's essentially what you're excavating right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're excavating all of their, most powerful spellcasters shit.
Potentially,
in
yeah.
essence.
Or this was just one battery, and if that's the case, then you would expect to find several more along the river.
Well, let's, can I, use my rough knowledge of, military formations to try and guess where that might be?
Yeah, you can use modern, so this was 80 years ago, so maybe a bit out of date, but modern tactics would say that it would be something like this, where, you have to guess the placement of the bridge, because that would massively change this, but your guess would be, you have that little battery, then you have one sentry here, another sentry here, and then in the back, you have a reserve sentry, and then you maybe have one or two, depending on how many spellcasters in the army, one or two additional batteries of spellcasters. This would be essentially these types of things only get wielded in giant conflicts. You've read stories about it and you've obviously been educated in this type of warfare, but you've never fought it because it's only for, war in the plains levels of conflicts with tens of thousands of men.
Alright, well, I shall direct the diggers to dig in those areas.
Yeah. The easiest spot to hit is where the sentries would have been stationed, because that, you're pretty sure, hasn't changed in, like, hundreds of years. Like, you're pretty sure that's been standard doctrine since the Republic. So, a long, long time.
Excellent. It's that easy.
Yeah, so you start digging down and searching, and you find, I think, so this area, which you initially excavated, that's guaranteed. But what you find is that the sentries behind that lead sort of spellcasting group, it's hard to tell. You know, you start uncovering this sentry over the next 3 or 4 days, and there's not as many bodies as there should be. You know, spellcasting batteries are very densely packed intentionally, so that they can get as much magical firepower on their foes as possible. And sometimes, you know, you get like some sort of dispel magic equipped on them or a counterspell so that no one else can even target them. This just potent spellcasting ball. Sentries, on the other hand, they're a bit more spread out, but even then, you should be seeing way more bodies. And I think it's, you know, after you find a officer that's been stabbed in the back of the neck that you realize these men broke and ran and probably killed their officers. So these are just the unlucky sods that died during the initial fighting. The rest of the sentry, which isn't here in the form of corpses, probably fled.
Ah. Well, all right then.
Yeah, you don't get a base of the neck stab wound in the back from enemy foes. That's just not how people kill you. That was certainly from one of his own allies.
I see, okay.
Unfortunately, no magical items are found amongst that, just a lot of corpses. So we have 3 days of excavation remaining. Sorry, 4 days of excavation remaining. Where do we want to target with this? Now, only the yellow boxes are guaranteed. Everything else is speculative based off Maximus's knowledge.
I would want to do the yellow boxes where it's guaranteed.
Well, so those are areas you've already excavated. So that's where you already know that there's like stuff, but you haven't found any additional magical items after the spellcaster battery.
Got it.
And
well,
these green points are where we had the magical items?
No. The green points are where Maximus suspects there would be the army would have been laid out during the battle.
Like over here, is this not like the foot soldiers kind of?
Yeah, that is the foot soldiers.
Yeah, we would want to look at the places where the magic people would be.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I mean, we're looking for magical items.
Yeah, certainly. So you guys can start excavating. You have time to basically pick one of them, but they're both equally as much guesses, so it's not like there's a better one. So you pick one that represents a small crook in the river, and you start digging through it. Your other tunnels collapse within about a day of you not digging at them. The shallow rain makes this hellish to excavate. And as you know, your units dig through, they start to find. Well, I think it's probably on the 3rd day. So you've mostly finished excavating here and you haven't found much, which is very disappointing. But then, you know, you guys hear sort of a gasp from one of the workers and 2 others rush over thinking he's injured himself, but they sort of see what he's looking at, and one of them sort of takes a step back and looks over at you judges and says, "Is there any reason why there would be, children here?"
Children. I'll run on over.
Yeah, and
I'll run over too.
so you've gotten past the outer wall of Spirit. This is the right place. You certainly know that there was a spellcaster battery here. You've gotten past the sort of outer perimeter of spearmen. Now you're getting into the meat of where the spellcaster formation would have been, and you see what is definitely the body of a child human. For a second you think it's a halfling, because halflings and human children look very similar. The only difference is thickness of bones, and these do not look like the thick, stout bones of a halfling. These look like the spindly, developing bones of like a, the exact age, who the fuck knows, but certainly not an adult.
But like,
What
are we talking
our-
like 3-year-old or like 5-year-old?
No. Between the ages of like 8 and 15.
Got it.
Would our workers know this? That these can't be halfling?
No, they probably don't have that level of like discernment. They know it's a small corpse though.
Should we maybe tell
probably
them
a
it's
halfling.
a halfling? Yeah.
One of them looks over and says, "Oh, there were halflings fighting in the Empire back then."
Perhaps.
Well, maybe this one was
Oh, all right then.
Mm-hmm.
captive or something.
That makes sense. I heard that. Yeah, it's whether they actually believe you or they just want to believe you.
It's all right.
Yeah, well, you're not sure if the workers believe you, but they want to, so they will. And they continue to
That's
excavate.
one part.
And only about 15 minutes later, a magical item is found.
Oh,
It's in what is supposed to be the center of the spellcaster battery. And what is present there is a 6-foot-long staff. It's buried relatively shallowly, considering, how deep some of these other things have been. It looks as if, someone was like, based on the angle, maybe defensively, something like that. Yeah, it's about 3 feet away from you.
Well,
What's it look like?
You haven't gotten it out of the dirt yet, but it's 6 feet long. Doesn't have much adornment on it, like any noticeable adornment, just a long quarterstaff.
direct them to dig.
Yeah. As they dig, they find several more halflings, and eventually they start to find a couple of adults. They find one adult, maybe. It's hard to say. None of you guys are like forensic people. The differences between human and male and female skeletons are lost on you. But it's definitely a human, adult human. And you get through several more. You find another adult human, and then lastly, you find the holder of this staff. It's interesting because this person was curled up in a ball. It looks like clutching onto it. When they met their death. And similarly to the previous spellcasting battery, all the spearmen died horrible deaths of the more traditional style. And these ones all bear no skeletal marks, with a couple of them scorched. And the staff he is desperately clinging within his arms is a long silvery staff with golden script along it. And even, the workers who aren't big magical heads, they instantly recognize the magical nature of the side. One, it's partially preserved, but two, it has glowing golden script on it. It's a pretty good indicator.
Got it. With cloth, I'll grab it and be like, "Thank you very much."
Yeah, the workers will
What type of script is
look at it
this?
as. Yeah, you get close, and you can't read it, but would you recognize it? No, you would not recognize it. Actually, maybe. Did you ever spend any long time undercover in a church?
Well, I did the research in a
Don't
church
think so.
about all the things in this battle.
Yeah, that would unfortunately not help in this regard. I think the closest you get to this is Maximus's orphanage experience.
Whoa.
I think.
My orphanage, huh?
Well, yours wasn't a religious one, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay. How long were you in that orphanage?
Until I was like 12.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you would probably both recognize this then, not as the... So every culture has their own sort of a holy script. In the West, you know that they have a whole different language for their holy script, sort of like a Latin equivalent. Here in the Mythosian Empire, though, you don't know what it's called. It's just the priest script. It's just what only clerics, not normal priests, clerics can write in this. And it is inscribbled along the rod. Though what it's called, what it's about, you have like child level education of this, which is, the cleric's writing that.
Well, we'll keep it on our person. Like, I'll hold on to it as much as I can safely without touching it. And I like to do
Trying
the
to touch
evening
it. I'm gonna have
huddles
to
with
touch it to identify it early, sooner or later,
Well,
anyways.
Regardless, then you'll touch it in the tent. If you start levitating and glowing, I'd rather not be in the middle of the day.
Sure.
Based.
Good point.
Yeah, you guys can assist the workers will continue to search through. And Maximus, this is a grim sight. You may not want to share this with anyone, but this looks like these children were being equipped with skull caps, which means they were putting like 12 to 15-year-olds, presumably magical ones, on the front lines to face horrific death. Where they got all these, young spellcasters, you don't know. These are ultra rare in the Empire. To throw away, spellcasters in training in the modern Empire would be unthinkable. And yet, these are clearly children, and they're clearly equipped as spellcasters. Maybe they were a diversion, and they couldn't cast magic, and that's almost even worse than if they could.
Yeah, that's definitely worse than it.
What you're saying is, this is like, we're basically digging up the Padawans that were slaughtered.
If they could cast magic, then yes. Which would denote the immense desperation of the clergy if they're sending out, children. But that evening, you guys were nearing the end of this expedition anyways. You basically have to wrap up tomorrow and then head back to the capital. So if you want, you can try to push the workers through the night. Do you think there's anything else left to find?
Yeah, there was...
Well, get the arrow. What the hell?
No,
yeah,
not
true.
the arrows! Listen here, folks. I read books that said the clerics wielded many pearls of power. I haven't found fucking one. We found an artifact. We found a fucking uncommon magical item. Huh?
You've
These
heard of the priest
motherfuckers-
wielding all sorts of magic items, and yet you've only found 4.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I wanna push them through the night. I really wanna see if they'll find one.
Where do you want them to dig?
Well, would they even make any leeway in the place that we haven't searched here?
Maybe. It all depends on where if they manage to find exactly where the little spellcaster ball was, then they'll instantly make progress. If they end up at the spearman line, it just takes time to dig, so probably not.
Is this fully excavated yet?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would get them to dig at this place and just fucking pray. I would be out there at night with them helping them.
Sure. Yeah, rain continues to pelt down throughout the evening. The other, there's loud sounds as the other tunnels collapse.
I'm getting the arrow, by the way.
You can just do that on your own if you want. It's not...
Yeah.
Because it floods your central digging, which is already mostly flooded anyway. So you walk up to like calf deep water and start to excavate your tunnel, Severus, and eventually you will be able to extract, it's like midnight, and you're sweaty and don't want to be here, and you've been soaked through for days, it feels like, but you eventually manage to extricate a glowing silvery arrow with several lines of what looks to be arcane script around the arrowhead from the dirt.
Put it in my quiver. Identify that later.
Okay. As for Peach's digging unit, since you're kind of like micromanaging them, you can actually, you keep your eyes strained, you press your eyes against the dirt to remove as much distance as possible. You're getting your eyes as close to the ground so you can see 3 feet. You get a couple weird looks, Buck. You get a couple weird looks, but you're 6 feet tall, so that's distance. Okay, distance matters, and you got to get as close to it as possible.
Is this place also in fear of collapsing in on itself?
Flooding, yeah, always.
Oh, okay.
It's not enough to kill any of the men, though. You're not digging 6 feet deep
I could
holes
turn into
anywhere.
a badger and just dig down, look around,
certainly.
get back up, dig down, look around.
You would likely destroy any bones you come across. I don't know if you care.
Well, if I found bones, I would just push them aside.
Well, you're a giant badger. You're gonna just be excavating earth by I'm pretty sure you have 30 feet of digging speed per round. So you're digging insanely fast. You will annihilate bones you come across. They will be pulverized.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck it. Okay. You turn into a badger. Do you still have your detect magic? Can you detect magic while badgering?
Yeah,
It's 10 minutes left.
Okay, sure.
Well, yeah, I can yeah.
Well then, you will instantly find 3 magical items because you can just dig through the dirt and get within 3 feet of the whole burial area.
What the fuck?
Goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been good to do this earlier. I forgot about that.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
But yeah, you quickly tunnel through the mound, detect magic glowing with your eyes, and these would be impossible tunnels for men to follow. They would certainly die doing the types of maneuvers you're doing. But you just can. You don't have to worry about wooden reinforcement because you can always dig your way out. And you can sort of bite onto the magical items and drag them to the surface. I think, you do have your druidic intelligence, but you get sort of caught up in the whole, badger experience, so you don't really analyze what exactly you're bringing to the surface. But by the time you come back into human form, Severus and Maximus are also with the work crew looking at the little pile of magical items you've brought up. And what is present there is a small glowing pearl. There is a cloak and a deck of cards in a little leather satchel.
Uh-oh.
I don't show the crew this, to be clear.
I was thinking as a badger, you were just grabbing them, depositing them on the surface, going back down, depositing them on the surface. Because you don't have hands to hold stuff with. And
I guess so, but I'm not everyone else better be fucking digging.
Well, when you start popping, when a giant badger starts depositing magical items on the surface, they're gonna look at it.
I guess so, but they better keep digging their fucking holes.
I'll shout at them to get back to work.
Yeah.
They will, look up and then look back down and continue working.
Oh yeah. Okay. Anyways, but then we go back to the tent, and then I'm getting the dirt off my body. I'm covered in mud, and I'm all right, Severus, lots of things to identify tonight.
Yeah, I can see that.
I want him to identify the staff. Obviously, he has his magical arrow, the small glowing pearl, which I am fucking praying it's gonna be like a pearl of happiness or something.
A pearl of happiness?
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's gonna be an equivalent of like a magic Viagra,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
and it's gonna be like actually useless.
Let me know.
to
Let me
us.
know what you have here.
All right. The staff is a staff of
Put
healing.
the pearl last, please.
The staff has 47
shit.
charges with no recharging. And it can be used for a number of different things. Oh, I think there we go. I shared it. Oh, I forgot to share the Rod of Rulership thing as well. Oops. And then what do you want to identify next?
I think it's gonna
arrow.
edge me. Yeah.
You
Yes,
said
I will.
47 charges.
I did not need to hear that, Peach.
Sorry.
I will be edging it.
Oh, God.
Okay,
Oh,
now.
God. Anyways.
Gonna make it real weird.
Mary.
Jesus. This is a blinding arrow. So it is a type of ammunition. You fire it, and then all creatures within 15 feet of the target destination have to make, what type of saving throw is it? Constitution, or be blinded for 1 minute and getting a save at each of their turns.
Is it like expended upon doing that?
Yes.
Just like exploded spoofs?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a flashbang. Got it.
Yes. A ranged flashbang.
What was that? Cloak.
Oh, yeah, the cloak is a cloak of protection +1.
Oh, base. I have one of
Um,
those.
Like +1 on top of a cloak of protection?
No.
Oh,
just right. What was that? There was the pearl. Cloak of protection was the third thing
The
you
deck of
wrote out?
cards.
Oh, deck of cards. Deck of cards.
ah, yes.
Yeah, what do you think it is, Ethan?
It's a deck of
I
many
think-
things.
I think it's
Then
yeah.
we're
your,
fucked.
I think it's your deck. I remember.
No, it is a deck of illusions.
Thank God.
What's
Roll
that?
1d20 minus 1, Severus. I'll explain it in a second.
Uh, 20 minus 1.
Okay.
Nine.
It has 25 cards. The deck functions as if you draw the cards at random. There's no way to like predict the order. And as an action, you can withdraw the card. And this is what, so that's all like the preamble. This is what it actually does. When you draw a card, it will depict a face, and that face is associated with a particular type of creature illusion. So, for example, an Ace of Hearts is a red dragon, a King of Hearts is a knight and 4 guards. There's Succubus, a druid, a cloud giant, archmage, a bunch of other shit. However, you have literally no control over what card appears.
Is there like a stat blocky thing for these?
A stat blocky thing? No, because they're not actual creatures, they're just illusions.
No, I mean, sorry, the description
Oh,
stuff. You know
oh,
how you pop
yeah.
it up for the other stuff?
Yeah, I can do that. However, every time you use it, you roll a d20, and a 1, it disappears.
Oh,
The
that's
deck or?
The deck, yeah.
And what does the
that's
nine mean?
that's a Harkon edition right there.
All of this is Harkon. Well, half of that is Harkon edition.
Well, the entire deck of many illusions, as you know.
What does
Um,
a rolling 9 mean?
What does a rolling 9 mean?
Like Severus rolled a 9?
Oh, that subtracts numbers
Oh.
of cards from the deck.
Oh,
So it was actually good that I didn't roll that high.
True. Ideally, you would have rolled a 1.
Wouldn't have subtracted any cards.
So the way that we'll actually do this, because I don't have like a fucking, I mean, I do have a poker deck, but I'm not gonna like carry it with me at all times. What we're actually just gonna do is roll d25 and then go through a deck of cards and see which one it would be for usage of it, and that'll tick down over time. Oh shit, I forgot to give it a label.
All right, now the pearl. It's
Now the
time
pearl.
for the big reveal. And wait,
Yeah.
can you tell me this in private, so I
Okay.
can make the big?
no!
Do you want to increase the tension?
That's
Yes.
so mean.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is.
It's just too funny not to.
Jesus.
That's what it is.
Cries.
Wait.
Oh no, he said wait.
Oh.
That means he wasn't expecting it.
You might not know what an et is.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Oh no.
It's a wacky Harkia. It's a wacky Harkon item.
Looking through. Oh, Aaron, yes. And Etten, those are the only 2 I don't recognize. Well, we know what an et is, but I feel like
So do you reveal it, Hecko?
Not yet. Not yet. I want to see the description first, and then I'll reveal it.
Oh, okay. Well, then go to the magical items tab, so I'll reveal it to you.
I'm gonna say Etten for Aaron, yes.
I'm gonna go to the magical items tab in case you fat fingers it.
He Oh my god.
You're beautiful. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, one sec. There was a description here, and I realized that it wasn't. I mistyped it, so I just rewrote it. Okay, anyways.
Can you just tell me what it is?
Hey, that's up to
I
her.
will in just a second, okay?
There you go. There's the description.
It's just funny this way.
It's not funny.
Oh no, she's feeling bullied. No,
All right.
Peach.
Alright, I'll tell you right away. Like, I'll identify it, and you'll see me, like, deviously smiling from ear to ear. And then I'll look at you, and I'll just go like, well, it's not the Pearl of Power.
Aww.
It's a Pearl of
Listen,
Greater
listen.
Power.
Aww.
Which it's the same thing as a Pearl of Power, but you can use it equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest.
Ooh.
Oh,
It's a better Pearl of Power.
oh my goodness, it's so
Like,
exciting.
considerably better. Well, you know.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, those are all the magical items.
Can I take it from him? Is that okay, Silvers?
okay.
I would like to hold
You
it.
can have it. We all knew this was what you were looking for.
I
I
would
don't mind
like
giving it to you.
pearl, and I have a necklace with like a different pearl in it. Am I able to like open the cage and put this one in?
This one's too large.
Oh,
How large
So-
is this one?
It's about size of your palm.
Holy, that's gigantic.
Yeah, it is.
wait. A pearl the size of my palm?
Yeah, it's
fucking
certainly
baby's
it
head
likely
size.
has to be equipable like in your hands. Like it'd probably have to be either your primary handed item or your offhand item. It's large
Like,
enough.
it's the
Oh,
size of a
shit.
baseball.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Fucking hell, that is so exciting though. Based as heck.
Well, I guess it
next
technically
mate
depends
is, like,
on.
Chipper. She like takes a hold of it. I guess. Well, when she's looking at it, then like at first she's gonna think it's not a pearl of power because she's expecting like a small little pearl, and she doesn't know if this is a pearl or a fucking egg. And then she'll be told
Yeah,
that,
that's
and she'll just be cheery as
Egg
fuck.
of power.
the ostrich egg of power.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, I think-
Oh, and then this is the description for the arrow of blinding.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
wait.
mean the brutal
The arrow
slaughter of children.
blinding,
Yeah.
It says can be expended to fire a point with a normal range of the user.
Yes.
Do I still have to roll an attack roll to hit to see if I hit that
No,
point?
it just has to be within the normal range of your bow.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, all it took was the death of like, expendable children 80 years ago. Now you got your pearl of greater power, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man though.
So
That's
it's not
kinda
haunted by
Pac-Man.
their ghosts or something.
Who knows?
Well, he asked if I was fine destroying their bodies trying to find it. So
I
This
did.
be like Yannick's lantern, where every time she uses it, she hears the screams of the children.
Yeah, she hears the screams
Yeah.
of the dead.
Just make a wisdom saving throw or go like actually insane.
Jesus.
Based. No,
Like
it's not.
using the
I
one
mean, the
ring.
identify will of course reveal it's not a cursed item. There are some cases, of course, where the spirits of the damned will attach to items and haunt them. This is well known, but this is not one of those. Because
Yeah, good
it looks like it
that.
didn't save their life either. The person who was wielding this died a horrible death, so it didn't do them much good.
All the people who died here died.
Yeah, so
Terrible
exactly.
death is subjective.
Is
I'm
it?
so
I think burning
surprised
alive
that
is probably
the-
pretty bad.
I'm really
I
surprised
might
that the
like
magical rod didn't like turn the tides more in their favor.
Yeah.
The Emperor is extraordinarily mighty.
Yeah, I mean, if the stories
Yeah.
are to be
Yeah.
believed,
No
they're
doubt.
fighting a literal god, so at that point, there's nothing that'll ever turn the tide.
Yeah.
Space.
Probably doesn't give a fuck if you wave that rod around 15 times.
True.
Yeah, I mean,
That is a happy news.
as the next day, you sort of pack up the campsite. There's nothing else to find here. Or if there is, you don't have time to because you got to head back to the capital. This was a massive battle involving thousands of people, so maybe there are additional spellcasting batteries, but this was 6 years into the Light Wars. Like, this was after years and years of horrific fighting. So if they had more than 3 full batteries of spellcasters, they had a lot more spellcasters back then than you do now. If the Department of Faith lost 3 full batteries of spellcasters, that'd be like an international crisis. That'd be very, very bad. So you pack up the campsite, and I think as the last of the stuff is being packed up, wagons are being filled, coin, large currency, large amounts of coin are being handed out to workers. Maximus, you look back, and you feel like you can almost see it. With the excavation of the battlefield, You can see, you know, the batteries of spellcasters looking up towards the sky in horror, the spearmen next to them already being killed by the waves of the Emperor's soldiers, the sentries breaking and running upon seeing God appear in the sky above them, and then God smiting each of these batteries of soldiers and the entire army arrayed against him melting away. It's a pretty powerful display.
As it should be.
As it should be.
We are truly blessed to live in the Emperor's light.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Maximus, of course, wasn't questioning his faith at all, but if he were, this is quite a potent reminder that the Emperor is real, and that is an undeniable fact.
Oh, yes.
You know, he's not like one of those Eastern gods they worship on the Tibrasian plains, where they worship nature spirits. It's a concrete thing that definitely exists and impacts your life every day. So...
a nature spirit.
Yeah, so cringe. Imagine worshiping nature. So, as you guys make your way back to the capital, a messenger will arrive at your caravan and deliver upon you a letter. It is signed, well, technically he has several of them, but realizing that you're all together, he'll just give one over to Renesmee, which reads, Judges of the Empire, your services are required. Return to Mythos at once. Luckily, you're already going there.
What's being talked about?
Huh?
Oh my god,
I'm sorry,
Peach!
okay, so basically, I'm saying
Okay, no, don't explain it, don't explain
the
it.
first result was none of this
Just
has
don't-
any medical evidence, and just made up crazy
Just
shit.
don't
It's like
explain
healing
it. You know, it's
crystals.
okay. Let's just
Why?
just
This
don't.
is not that bad, and it's educational. So,
Anyways,
I was
anyways,
talking of
so you
using
guys-
it as the yoni egg, which is a kind of stone that you put up your vagina, and you hold it there with your vaginal muscles to strengthen your cervix. A lot of women use it after childbirth because their
Let me
pelvic
just link
floor
the
isn't
literal first
strong.
thing I
So
found when I
anyways, anyways,
It's not safe, it can harm you, and it doesn't have
a
any
caravan of
benefits.
judges are making their way back to the capital, and as you guys do so, you receive this letter. You continue into the capital, and as you ride through extant towns of Mythasia, you hear big news. Big news. Now, this news requires a bit of context, so bear with me. You know, I know I monologue a lot, but if you have any questions, just feel free, because the significance of this may not be obvious. So, the son of the dragon does not rule the entire Tibrasian plains. He is one prince of 9. However, since the death of his father, that coalition they had, which was basically 7 princedoms versus Mythdosia, that coalition fell apart. It split into 2 factions, the son of the dragon leading one, some other bozo leading another. That other bozo, he kept losing battles against the son of the dragon, and so he holed up his entire army inside this fortress called Kuzma's Fist. And fortresses, in Valorous in general, are very dangerous things because spellcasters are so good at breaching them. Like anything a fortress can do, spellcasters have a way to just instantly undo. They can, you know, transmute rock to mud and just storm the gate. There's all sorts of shit they can do. But Kuzma's Fist had held. It had held for a full year against the Son of the Dragon. So the entire time the Son of the Dragon was fighting Mythdosia, he had to leave 20,000 troops besieging Kuzma's Fist through traditional means. And the general belief was that that was going to hold until eventually the Son of the Dragon had to just give it up because they had enough food forever. They could summon food via clerics and things like that. However, 5 days ago, so while you guys were out on your digging expedition, there was a traitor inside the fortress, and not some like lowly guardsman, but one of the very high-ranking princes who was inside the fortress betrayed his fellows. So Kuzma's Fist fell, 2 full princedoms defected to the Son of the Dragon, and you know the stories vary quite a bit, but it all agree that Grand Marshal Krakus, who is, you know, the Son of the Dragon's only real rival on the plains, is dead, and his whole faction has sworn loyalty to the Son of the Dragon, which basically doubles the amount of troops and land that the Son of the Dragon has at his disposal against Mythdosia.
Unideal.
Not only
Yeah, we need to
unideal,
deal with that.
but like, it's not just unideal, it's the fact that if you look at a map of Tibrash now, the majority of it is now loyal to the Son of the Dragon, which when this whole war started, he had 1 princedom. Well, his father had 1 princedom, his father conquered a second one, and then he's now conquered 4 additional ones.
Does this make him like high on the hit list of like shit that needs?
Well, he
dealt
has
with?
been number 1 on the hit list, it's just you guys aren't enough to deal with him, so you're never gonna be sent to do that. Like, it'd be like you guys being sent to assassinate like an emperor, like it's just, you're not in that
Yeah.
pay grade. So yeah, pretty scary stuff. You know, the numbers vary quite a bit, but he's got a lot of folks loyal to him now. And you guys can continue back to the capital. and unload all your shit. Meet up with the workers and give them the last of their payment for their journey. And since he just said you guys need to be here by today, is there any super quick things you want to do before diving into this next arc? You're not going to have time to sell the shit you got from this expedition. Unless you just want to give it to like one of the departments and hope they, pay you.
Isn't that what we would have to do anyway?
Well, yeah, but you can use the departments to set up buyers. If you just want to sell it directly to the department, then that's easy. You just give it to them.
Is that what I did, or did I give it to the department?
If I recall correctly, you did a mixture. Some of them you facilitated purchases, and then other ones you
for the
gave to
suit
them.
of armor.
For the suit of armor, I think you. Ooh, you're testing my memory. I think you facilitated a purchase to a private collector, if I recall correctly.
Okay, I would recommend we hold on to the stuff until that can be done.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
Then we need to make sure they're on somebody's sheet so they're not forgotten. So let's start with the Rod of Rulership. Who's carrying that?
I mean, Maximus is the strongest of us all, so I feel like that would be...
He's
Like,
also
physically
the
or
thief
emotionally?
of all the magic items.
What do you mean thief? You guys keep letting me take them.
True. That is actually true, unironically.
You guys just keep
I
not
haven't
doing
been
anything
for like the
about it.
past 3 times, so it's okay.
Never once has he been told, don't take this magical item, and then he took it. Though I do recall someone who did that to Maximus's shield once.
Wow! Oh, that's crazy!
You got voted out. You got
Yeah,
voted
it's true.
out.
You outvoted him in
That's
this very
wild.
democratic empire. True.
Yes, I'm allowed
Anyways,
to use my democratic 50% of this entire share to decide some things.
base. Just let the money vote, and then Maximus has majority shares. Okay,
I guess
so
then I can... Should we divvy up who has it on their sheets? We should have a talk
if
about
you're
it
not
as a
going to
team.
use them in combat, it kind of doesn't matter. I'm just saying if you want to, like,
We
it just
should
needs to
talk
be on somebody's
Maximus
sheet.
and make sure that he doesn't sell it without our knowledge or anything.
Surely you wouldn't think
How
he'd
would I
do
even
that.
do that?
I
Also,
don't know.
when have I done
You
that?
guys have 3 weeks of
when have I
runtime.
proven to steal things that objectively
There-
belong to other people?
Well, we collected the mithril chains once and you sold them and then got a fuck ton of money and didn't split it equally. You lied about how much you got.
That is true, but
I
you wouldn't
recall
know that he
ever lying.
lied.
I simply didn't. I simply
True.
didn't tell you how much I got for it.
True.
I suppose so. I guess that's a
Besides-
decision I'm making out of character.
Oh, all right. There you go then.
That's fair. Okay, well then we can just start with the easy one. Pearl Greater Power, I assume is going on Peach's sheet.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Deck of
Probably
Illusions.
anyone has an issue with that.
I'll
That sounds like a Cerberus thing, honestly.
Yeah.
What sounds like a me thing?
I think Granny would.
Illusions.
Ooh, Granny
Oh, there
wants
you
it.
go then.
Okay, Granny,
Well,
you can.
I'm
wait,
kidding.
stop.
why are you
hold
kidding?
On.
I'm kidding.
Hold on. Why are we dividing these up like it's a democracy?
It's not a
Or like
democracy.
it's just like a pick and you get it, okay?
Granny
We
pulls
put
out
a
a
certain
dagger.
amount of stake and money into this, so we're gonna divide this shit and like
No,
we're
we're
gonna
not.
have all of
this
this.
This is just
Uh-uh.
for who holds it. We're not gonna. I imagine when we sell them, that's
I,
when
I,
we will
I
divide
vote
it
we
up
sell
according
everything
to
but the
shares.
pearl.
You don't have time to sell them.
Yeah, that's
You
the
need to
issue.
report to the Department of Faith.
God,
You see what's
fucking hell.
happening? We're just deciding who's gonna hold on to it now. All of these decisions are gonna be dealt with when we actually can sell them after this arc.
If you still have them.
That what Yogi said is 90% of the reason why I want this on somebody's sheet. Because if someone dies, rip those items. So that's why I'm
Can we
asking.
not just- Can we not just keep some of them like in our storage?
What
Even,
storage?
You know that. Like we have lodgings here.
Not permanent ones. You just stay at a hotel.
I mean, if you guys
Like-
want, we can go off into the forest somewhere remote. I can turn into a badger. We can put them all in a hole.
I feel like they're a way more secure thing. Like I feel like we can just go to a bank.
Sure. Yeah, you guys can buy a
Banks
PO
store
box
objects
and
like
at
this?
a. Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We just go to them, be like,
Okay,
all right,
sure.
we need-
And how
we
well are
need
these
at least-
protected? And
Well,
how much
they're
do
owned
they
by the
cost?
Department of Coin. They are very expensive if you want to secure one with arcane lock cast on it, but
How expensive?
5 gold a week.
Yeah.
How many weeks are we thinking? Like a month, maybe?
Literally no idea. Some of these arcs take like 3 days, other ones take months.
Okay, but listen, I looked up on Google a couple days
Oh?
ago how to secure things the most safely,
Ooh.
and Google said that if you're a druid and you turn into something that has a dig speed,
What's Google?
okay, no, I'm talking about the character.
No, he knows. He knows. He's fucking with you.
Basically, these things have survived under the earth for fucking forever. If we can go somewhere that nobody's really gonna go, and I dig super deep and put it there, as long as we remember where it is.
Yeah, that's not gonna be a
Yeah,
problem in the
there it is.
slightest.
Therein lies the key.
You also have to
As
trust
long
your party to not go and steal it.
Yogi
Well,
speaking from
everyone's gonna steal it.
experience. Oh my god, that's so
What?
funny.
How dare you slander the other campaign?
Yeah, in another campaign, Yogi literally, the party buried something and Yogi stole it.
Oh my god.
Fuck.
Yeah, by the way, that
Actual-
item could literally end like Valorant.
Yeah, but he just has it on him now.
It's,
So
yeah,
funny.
it's probably one of the
Actual
most. Could
scourge.
absolutely end the war.
It's so funny though. Anyways,
Fuck it. It's the wrong-
Well, it's up to you guys.
it sounds like Maximus favors banks, Renesmee favors digging a hole in the ground. Does anyone have thoughts?
This
Vote.
Tullius back in.
Yes, let's have a vote.
Okay, look, go into Discord.
Okay, it doesn't need to be this
1
fancy. We can
equals
just.
bank, 2
Type in the
equals
chat.
hole.
True, put in the Roll20 chat. Yogi's,
Okay.
not Yogi,
Yeah.
Dode is protesting
1
the
equals
Discord.
bank, 2 equals hole. Start now.
Okay.
Fuck you.
Oh, he's so cool. He's so cool.
And that's all it takes to get bank.
Well, there we go. Bank has been decided upon. Okay, so Maximus, somewhere on your sheet, record. Technically, anyone can do this. I want it guaranteed on one person's sheet. So Maximus,
Yes,
record
I
somewhere
will guarantee
that the Rod of Rulership, the Staff of Healing, the Arrow of Blinding, the Deck of Illusions, and the Pearl of Greater Power are in the bank.
Wait, no.
No,
She's keeping the
Renesmee,
pearl.
Renesmee can keep the pearl.
Yeah.
okay.
But
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think we've
The
all,
greater
we're all
power
in
of pearl.
agreement that is.
Okay, then the Deck of Illusions, Arrow of Blinding, Staff of Healing, Rod of Rulership, and Cloak of Protection are all inside. the bank.
Okay.
Wait, here's an interesting question. Can you wear Cloak of Protection at the same time as another type of magical cloak?
No.
Okay.
Didn't you ask me
You
this
also
before?
can't stack.
You
cloak
get
protection.
like
I've
one
stopped before.
amulet slot.
you asked
one-
that.
2 ring
So-
slots.
Mhm.
2 ring slots.
No, I was just
Rod of
asking if I
Rulership,
could wear this
Staff
the
of
same time
Healing.
as my Cloak of Elvenkind.
No, yeah, that's
I
a
guess
fair
not.
Arrow of blinding.
question.
I have 3. So,
Staff
There's
of
that one, and then
Healing,
Rod of Rulership is the
Deck
last
of
one.
Illusions.
Deck of
Hey,
Illusions.
that's the full list. Okay. So, Maximus quickly runs to the Department of Coin while you guys make your way to the... Well, actually, you're unwinding this expedition. You head to the Department... Actually, you're all headed to the Department of Coin because you need to resolve some shit with this expedition. So, Renesmee fills out some paperwork. Severus fills out reviews for the soldiers that... not soldiers. Laborers that worked underneath you. You learn, Severus, as you're, writing up these reviews, that these men were... not free is the nice way to say it. So you probably helped contribute to them getting out of slavery. So that's pretty pog.
Yeah, totally.
By employing them as slaves. So
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ethical slave ownership. Pog.
Do I,
Well. Yeah. Maximus.
never mind.
Okay. So you guys do all this, unwind, unload your shit, and then make
Okay,
your way.
So everyone else has their own things that they were doing while I was depositing the things.
You put like a
Yes.
wait.
No, I-
Wait.
go with
No.
Well,
I
they're
am
all in the
with-
Department
I
of
am
Coin.
with
But wait, okay, you're all
I
in the
don't
Department
care.
of Coin
I am
building.
with Maximus
Sure,
on
you're
every
all in the
way.
Department of Coin building, anyways.
He's been known to hoard money.
Sure. It doesn't matter because you're all in the Department of Coin building, anyways. They're just filling out paperwork. They could watch you walk in the direction of the lockbox
Yep,
wing of the
that's
building.
fine.
Yeah.
In fact, they can. Yeah, they can.
Sure, and if you want, do you want me to actually track the number of weeks you're gone for, or do you just want to prepay for like a gig a long time?
No, I'd like you to track the number of weeks.
Okay, that's fine. Record next to wherever you wrote down this list of stuff that's stored. Do parentheses
Do we need
April
to like
17th.
prepare a minimum amount?
No, you'll have enough money probably. Only 5 gold a week. Unless you're gone for
Yeah, it's just
several
like-
years, you're probably fine.
Yeah,
Like
I was
years.
just wondering if you have to put down like a minimum amount of like thing.
No,
Like
the items are collateral. If you never come back, they're taking those and selling them.
Right. That makes sense.
There is a sorry, yeah, don't disappear for like 2 years. don't leave these here for that long, or they're gonna take your shit.
Okay, so no,
If I-
we're not
if
going to
I-
the
if I-
Deadwood.
You know what, never mind.
Yeah, don't do that
Let's see here.
for many reasons.
You never told me what you wanted me to write down.
April 17th.
Ah, okay.
Second question is,
Yeah.
can we put this down as like a joint lockbox?
Can
Yeah.
we put this under a joint lockbox? Yeah, sure.
Like, I don't want this to go solely under the name of Maximus.
You could put this under the Department of Faith. You could put it under your boss. You could put it under each other.
Can we just put a stipulation saying that it needs to be like either all 3 of us present or any number of us, and
Yes, yes.
Proof of death of the other 2.
You can
Yeah.
give the Department of
Proof of
Coin
death.
whatever stipulations you want. So yeah, they will accept that. As proof of death,
Yes.
Yogi could be in the form of there are Imperial death certificates, so they're pretty rare, or just like I don't know, a
Is
boss saying
Imperial
yeah he's
death
dead.
certificate something you can procure for a judge's death?
For anyone you could, it just costs money, which you guys don't really care about.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So either all 3 of us need to be present, or like any of
Who
us.
are the 3?
Combo
Renesmee
of
being
us and
ignored.
death certificate.
Yeah, is Grania being ignored, or is Renesmee being ignored?
What?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, Grania has money in it, so yeah, all 4 of us.
Okay, all 4 of you then.
All 4 of
Do you have
us.
one?
Yeah, you put in 1 gold.
So,
So-
25 gold.
That's
That's a ninth of all of our
Yeah.
money.
True.
Sever's put in 24 gold on her behalf.
No, that was on
so Tashi
Renesmee's
has
behalf, not
25.
Grania's.
Well, I'd
Wait,
like to say
no,
Oh, it
what
was on
Grania
Grania.
is.
Oh, okay.
whatever we
What? That
sell,
wasn't? I thought.
No, it was Grania. It was Grania. That was
whatever we sell in the future, I think that we should divvy it up equally.
No, that was not a stipulation of my investment.
wrong.
Well, it wasn't meant to be like a
I invested-
monetary investment like that. It was supposed to be
It
like helping.
absolutely was. That was absolutely why Maximus was doing it.
Wait.
But
No,
that's
wait,
not
Maximus.
the expedition.
Maximus,
and
can
I
you
wasn't
remind
thinking
me?
that.
Wait, can you remind me where it says that in the contract? Oh wait, we didn't have one.
Damn.
Well, sounds like it's my work against yours and Renesmee's
Alright,
against yours.
that's fine. Then the stuff just lives in there.
Oh, true, because you need his permission to open it.
Time to kill
Well, that's
Maximus.
fine. I didn't go on the expedition to make money. I thought that we all just wanted to go to see what we would find.
Yeah, we never said that
see
we're
what
like
money could be
doing
made.
this with actual equity properly.
You guys can do whatever you want, but I am going to clarify that at one point.
Expeditions to make it possible.
Yeah, you guys can do whatever you want, but at one point, literally, this is a direct quote from Echo. I'm putting this money into the expedition so that I gain equity in the event of you guys making a bunch of money.
Like, that was absolutely the intention behind all of us putting.
Yes,
Again, you can do
but
whatever you want,
I can
but that
lie
was
about
like-
saying that without
Sure,
benefits.
that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but that is like a direct
I didn't
quote.
catch that.
Oh, okay. That's
I was
fine.
gonna do this whole expedition like by myself. I was
In that
just
case,
wondering
yeah, it
if
would
you
have been
guys wanted
different,
to come along.
Yeah.
And if you guys wanted to help pay for it as like a party, not like as we're all individuals trying to make the most money as possible.
I feel like we're working together, and we've been working together for like a very extended time. We should probably stop being like so.
Well, I'm also
So,
happy
like,
if you guys want to go like completely
possessive.
equal. If you want to like change up the amount that we put in, like retrospectively, we can all pool our money again and then just divide the cost that we're paying by
Like-
4. I can take like Grania's half or whatever, and then we'll.
Like I'm
Right,
okay
right.
with doing this
Yeah.
on like equity base, but I feel like we should
Okay, that's
act
fine.
more like an actual like group of party.
Well, technically, you are just like coworkers. You're not actually like a voluntary
Yeah, but
party.
we've been working together for so long. It's like,
It's been a couple months, yeah, like half a year.
There are 4 of us
We've gone
here.
through
The whole
crazy shit together.
expedition was going to cost.
If you guys want
350.
to live with Zed, you gotta pay rent. That's all I'm saying.
True.
Like,
Based
all I'm
Andrew.
saying is, you don't get
I'll
this
take
far
the
with
math on it
people
one
that
sec.
you're just co-workers with.
But
Okay.
it's okay.
I
Look,
think
we
you
can
do.
retrospectively just divide the cost equally, except for Grania, and I can take on Grania's half, and then we'll divide it by.
Grania. That's okay.
But we can figure it
that
out
sounds
after.
good. That sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
I mean, Granny
Uh,
doesn't actually have the stuff, so she's not gonna.
Yeah, she's
It's okay.
okay.
Does that mean are we gonna?
I don't know what solution was come upon, but it sounds good.
Does that mean we're gonna retroactively revoke like Granny getting into the vault?
Into the
She would
vault.
want any different. So it's up to you.
Is Grania a judge yet, or are we
Yes.
still waiting
Yes.
on that? Okay.
Okay. But it's okay, we can continue on. I think it's gonna be 87.5 gold from each person, except for Grania, of which I will help pay for her involvement. 87.5 per person. I paid 50
Oh.
gold. So now you can. I'm gonna figure out how much more gold I have to subtract.
Wait, sorry, what are we doing?
Money.
Add
Are we splitting it?
87
Are we split-
Never mind.
Are we
You
splitting it
add-
4 ways exactly?
Well, I don't think that we can because Grania can't pay for herself, so I'm gonna help pay for Grania. Basically, the whole cost of the trip was 350 gold. Divided by 4 would be 87.5. If we want, we can just divide it by 3 and give Grania, like, since she's not paying her way, we can just give her some of what we make out of kindness. That might be easier.
Um,
But that doesn't mean. Well, you guys, listen. This doesn't fuck any of you because you both paid more. If anything, it fucks me. Divided by 3 ways is 116 each. That's still less than what you paid. I'll up the amount that I put in to 116, and then when we get the amount of money that we make, if we want to give Granny a gold from it, so that she can be happy.
Okay.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know
that-
what.
that's-
Yeah,
that sounds
whatever
good.
resolve it came to sounds good.
Okay.
So,
So you guys make a couple of gold back, and I pay, I think, 66 or something. 116 minus 50 more.
okay.
Cool.
You paid the Department of Coin their money. You deposited it all in a lockbox with split ownership. And you make your way to the Department of Faith. You made your way to the Department of Faith many times in the past. However, this time, instead of making your way to the satellite office from which Consul Lars Ignia previously worked, you make your way into the Great Hall of the Department of Faith and head for a stairwell leading to the offices of the Deputy Autarch and the Autarch of the Department of Faith. A number of Imperial guards and several paladins guard the stairwell as you make your way up the stairs. The stairwell is heavily decorated, depicting a familiar event. Named the Ascension, it was the moment when Aurelian Var's soul revealed his divine nature to the people of the Empire during his second coronation. The mosaics on either side depict the event in full. It shows Ecclesiarch Hevestion lowering a golden crown depicting rays of sun into the Emperor's head, while members of the audience watch in awe. Notably, there are no religious people in the crowd, for in the back of the room, the heads of the clergy can be seen. The story is well known, even by children in the Empire. The jealous priests fled when they saw the Emperor reveal his true nature, starting the Light Wars. That's what the official history said anyways. After all that you have seen, it can be hard to take those at face value sometimes. At the top of the stairwell, a hallway unfolds before the 4 of you. More guards. It is awfully secure up here. The office of Consul Lars Ignia is crawling with servants and lesser clergy speaking to the consul. He practically has a small crowd of attendants now that he is transitioning into the role of the Deputy Autarch. Seeing you all out in the hall, Consul Lars raises his hand. It is a gesture summoning you and dismissing his servants. A flood of attendants exit the room, and soon enough, just the consul is inside, and he waves you all forward.
Hello, Consul. And I'll bow my head a little bit.
He gives a nod and gestures at a number of chairs across from his desk. There's 5 of them on your side of the table. And, as you look around, the room within is rather bare, at least compared to the former chambers that Consul Lars inhabited. The walls here are carved stone, and only one statue is present in the room, that of the Emperor himself. It's a towering golden statue, 6 feet in height, glittering with silver inlay and gems. The floor is covered in a large rug, but it fails to cover the whole of the stone floor, making the room seem even more barren. Consul Lars sits behind a large marble desk with stripes of gold and silver inlay running through it. The patterns are incredible, swirling in on themselves before splitting into a dozen of the ribbony lines which swirl in on themselves. The consul himself looks remarkably satisfied. His usually grim expression is now one of a placid smile. He sits behind his desk, his eyes appraising each of you as you sit. He also shaved his beard and cut his hair. It's now the hairstyle of a politician rather than a priest. Due to your previous losses, I understand that the manpower of your outfit is lacking. Therefore, I've secured the assistance of an old mentor and a long-term judge. He isn't here yet, though, so we'll have to wait.
Oh, I see.
Consul
Will
Lars.
we be growing?
He glances back over his shoulder. He was given the same orders as you. He's not as swift as he was as a young man. May take him some time.
Well, how have you been adjusting to your new position? I take it that you are happy.
Yes, it is quite wonderful to be put in such a position to serve the Empire. The work here we do is very important, though a bit more broad in scope than I had previously anticipated. he will stand and sort of like, it almost seems like he's like dismissing you, like he doesn't want to talk to you, so he just walks over to the window and looks out on the city. And Severus, that expression grates on you. You're not sure why at first. Like something about his like happiness and satisfaction. Clearly, he's smug and superior, and that annoys you, but there's something even deeper. And you realize Tullius had you do horrific things, but he told you never to take satisfaction in any of those things. Sure, you know, they were for the good of the Empire, they made the Empire better, and sometimes it felt good to feel superior, to feel powerful, but you did it for the good of the Empire, dispassionately. It wasn't something to gloat over. And yet, you know, the consul is practically oozing with satisfaction at what was a pretty horrible betrayal, regardless of how good it is for the Empire.
Well, he's not trained the way I am, so it's not my problem.
True. You wait a little bit longer, and then the door handle turns, and what enters you immediately recognize as scar tissue. It takes you another moment to recognize there's a man underneath that scar tissue. He wears plate and wears a large belt with a face on it around his waist. The only visible skin is that of his hands and his head, both of which look like weathered stones, a lifetime spent either laboring or fighting. His face is even worse than his hands. A number of horrific scars crisscross his elderly face, and one of his eyes drifts around, looking dead. The living eye, though, is terrifying. An eye of solid gold with a powerful radiance, almost as if it makes up for the missing eye. Maximus, you instantly recognize the look of a veteran of a dozen campaigns. If he didn't serve in the legions, he certainly fought alongside him. The voice of the consul breaks the silence of the chamber. Judges, meet Father Rixion. He is currently the longest-serving judge, well, that's still alive anyways. How long has it been, Rixion?
Wait, what's the question? How long
How
have
long
I
have you been serving as a judge, yeah?
I gotta look at my bio. Oh no. 33 years.
33 years, my. I remember the 30-year gala. Did the Emperor attend that, or was it just the Autarch? Well, whatever it was quite an occasion. Anyways, please sit. Join your fellow judges.
Before I sit, I'm gonna walk up to each. I don't have because of the one eye, I don't have the greatest depth perception, so I will kind of get in everybody's face a little bit and look them up and down, size all these new judges up.
Yeah.
See if they're up to snuff.
Yeah, what you see is a 15-year-old girl, maybe 13. Those all young girls look the same to you. Then you see another young girl, maybe she's 15, 16. She's got a bit of muscle on her, but still clearly a young woman. And then you see a young man, maybe in his 20s. You guess. I mean, he looks pretty young. He's got a little red mustache, but at least he's fought. You can tell by his expression. No, different one. And then at the end of the column is a man who instantly strikes you as scheming. He strikes you as those who would wear hoods and operate in the background as you carried out real wars for Aurelian Sol.
Right. All right.
Oh.
Well, it'll have to do.
Underestimated my age.
He underestimated all your ages.
Wait, well, how old did I think I
Makes
was?
I don't know. You're actually kind of old. You're in your 30s, so probably pretty old. Do you say anything, Father Rixion?
Yeah, I say, so this is the new batch, huh?
Well, they've actually been judges for some 6 months, Father Rixion.
Right. Still a bit wet behind the ears, I can see.
Yes, they are quite new. Anyways, you guys watch as Father Rixion.
I'm
sits
looking up
down.
and down,
Oh, yeah?
everybody. Hold on, because there was something I wanted to do.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course.
Who doesn't have Summa Theologica?
I think none of them have one.
that?
I have one. I have
Oh,
one.
Maximus does.
What
Let's
is
fucking
that?
go.
I actually do have one on me.
Huge.
What is
No one
that?
but Maximus does.
Okay.
What is the
so,
Summa Theologica?
The Holy
the
Book.
Bible.
It's
The Bible.
book of the law, basically.
Well, no,
Oh,
it's
it's
religious
the
law.
law.
Yeah.
It's the religious law, I thought.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
4 on
My
my
spell
person.
book.
So each person that doesn't have one gets one shoved into their chest, pretty much.
Okay.
This will protect you.
When he
Surprised
shows it to
didn't
Granny,
read it already.
Granny's
Oh,
gonna
was
try
it
to
like
poke his hand.
stop arrows?
You're gonna what his hand?
I'm gonna try to poke his fleshy skin.
Okay.
This one all right?
She
I
said
love
on
the
one.
others.
I think she's just nervous.
She
Don't
doesn't
mind
talk.
Ah. All right. and I'll hand everyone else, and then I'll look at Maximus's. Has he cracked it open ever?
Of course.
Oh,
Okay.
There you go.
If it looks like it's been used a little bit, I won't say anything. I'll be like, good reading on you. Because I was in my head, you hadn't even opened it, so I was gonna like say some
No,
shit.
Maximus is quite religious.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, you get Father Rixion sits down. He's quite intimidating, as you can tell. That's worth, it's verbalizing it. The consul will sit down across. He doesn't seem as intimidated by Father Rixion, though. He's known of him. I mean, they were judges at the same time because Rixion's been there forever. So
Do judges usually roll in big posses like we do?
Yeah, typically in groups of 1 to 4. Never more than that because it's just too much concentration.
This is 5.
This will be definitely on the upper end of a posse. The consul will continue. Now, judges, I wish I could give you a grand task of pursuing heretics or looking into those rumors of warrior lodges on the plains. However, there are political concerns. You see, the Department of Faith has found itself with a great amount of power, and thus the Emperor expects results. Banditry, con men, and problems between the common folk and senators have increased across the Regina Peninsula. And while this is clearly within the bounds of the Department of Civility, it's been made clear to me that the Emperor expects us to deal with this. Thus, by extension, that means you must deal with it as well. Your mandate is specific, laid out in instructions, and he reaches his, hand into his desk and withdraws 2, small written packets. You can read them once you've left this office. By and large, though, the mandate is so that the Pax Mithdosica may return. Men of the Empire should not fear their safety in their own country. That is one privilege we should be able to guarantee every citizen of the Empire. As for where to start, I recommend going to the governor of Cisatlia, maybe the governor of Regia. Those 2 regions are the safest, and you can clear up whatever minor issues they may be having. Governors are always suspicious of the Department of Faith, and they may tell you everything's all right when it actually isn't. That's why, and he taps one of the notes. This was written by the autarch at direct request of the Emperor. Show this to whatever governors you find yourselves coming across, and they should work with you just fine. Now, go. Cleanse the Regina Peninsula of the filth of criminality. And he pushes the 2 documents over to Father Rixion.
What do I need to do with these?
They are your orders / your mandate, as well as the note to show to governors in the event that they resist working with you.
All right. He said what they are, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just tuck them in my place you tuck papers.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's
in your coat pocket.
There's an inside pocket or whatever, but that's where I would put it.
Yeah. The consul will nod and say, well, I wish you the best of luck.
No, it doesn't. It says not
Very good,
brutal.
Consul.
No.
And I'll get up to leave.
Yes.
All right, yeah.
I just asking, do you have any advice for us while we go on this? Any words of wisdom? I'm sure that what was his name? Sorry, that Father Rixion will have a lot of guidance for us. But anything that you've heard or that you think?
I would say just listen to his wisdom.
I'll nod, and then I'll look over at Father Rixion and I'll smile and be like, "Oh wait, we'll do that."
The 5 of you exit the Department of Faith, or at
As
least
soon
the
as
office.
we leave the room, I'm gonna pull on Father Rixion's cloak.
Oh.
What is it?
I'm gonna sign something to him. Does he know Imperial Sign Language?
I don't think so.
It's not on my sheet.
And then
don't know.
Speak up.
Oh, Father Rixion, so sorry. She doesn't speak. She's mute. Grania? What is it?
She's gonna hold up the book and then say, "What's this for?"
Oh, I'll look at Father Rixion. She's saying thank you so much for giving her the book.
She's gonna kick Verdesme's shit.
Of course. Knowing the word will do good help. The Emperor protects.
Of course. And
I don't
I'll
think that's even right.
take her by her sleeve and drag
No, the
her
Emperor
back.
protects
Be
is
like,
perfectly
"Shut
acceptable."
the fuck up.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Me or Granny?
No, Granny.
And take her by her sleeve, and I'm like, bitch, are you trying to get yourself in trouble?
God, one heretic, next one.
Yeah, I guess as we're walking or whatever, if I find a moment to whisper into Grania's ear, I'll be like, Grania, you need to be very, very, very careful in dealing with Father Ixon. He seems very weathered and very religious, so he's going to be looking out for any sign of strangeness when it comes to heresy and religiousness. Just if he tells you that something is religious and good, agree with it. Or pretend to agree with it. And if you have any questions, ask me, if you can. Or someone else that you trust, but not Father Ixon himself. Okay?
She's gonna sign back. Don't understand what book.
Oh! And I'll be like, oh, basically, it's like a book of religious laws? Is that what it is?
It's the entire Bible, including some religious laws.
It's basically like the entire Bible, but it has also some religious laws in it. But it's like the Bible here.
Granny winks.
Signs back. What spells out the word Bible?
Yes, it's just like the Bible. The what now?
Do you know what God is? What Aurelian's soul is?
She'll think for a second and then just turn to keep
Oh no. I was under the
no.
impression she was an Aurelian soul worshiper this entire time.
Oh, no.
She had a brain.
Making like a bit of a fuss over there. Like, are they
Well, you can
noticeable?
see. No, they're just talking at the back of the column. I imagine you're either talking to Severus or Maximus, or you're focusing on exiting the Department of Faith.
Okay.
Grania, and I'll grab her little wrist hand. I'll be like, Grania,
She'll
Aurelian
turn
soul.
back around with like a
Like,
pout on her face.
yeah, Aurelian soul, like the God, like the one in the heavens that looks after us. It's the book that teaches us about what he wants in the world and stuff. Where did you live that you don't know who Aurelian soul is?
She'll sign back. I know. I listened to you.
Oh, okay. And I'll narrow my eyes. You're suspicious, Grania. Something is amiss with you. That's okay, though. Just don't be suspicious to anyone else, because you're gonna get in trouble.
He's gonna look confused, but then sign okay.
So you guys finally, fully exit the sort of deputy autarch, the autarch's wing of the building, and you sort of find yourself in the main lobby. And Father Rixion, now that they're starting to walk, your opinion of some of your new companions improves slightly, because even though they look like, children from your perspective, I mean, you've been around the block for a long time, they do walk with purpose. Even the really young one that looks like a literal child, even she has like a bit of a walk to her, she's seen combat, she moves with grace. It's not like she's some random girl that was, placed amongst the judges. That would be a grave insult to the faith. So, what now?
Well, how much
we should
time
be-
would it
what's
take
the-
to sell the objects?
What's
Probably
the
a couple
closest city?
weeks if you want to do it through an intermediary. The closest city would be Regia.
How long
Alright.
did you say, Alex?
A couple weeks if you want to sell it to through an intermediary.
And we have to be here for that?
Traditionally, yeah, because you're saying who you do and do not want to deal with.
It doesn't really matter. We don't need that gold, literally right now. It's in the
What
same
time of day is
place.
it?
That's true. This is
Well,
very
they
true.
started coming. It's like 10 a.m.
Okay.
That, and I think Maximus is anxious to get out and start doing stuff again anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have many more days to waste, so we should get going.
A classic. The Bondi problem.
Yes, Father Ixon. Where do you counsel that we go first? I'm anxious to learn from your.
Regia is the closest, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we should.
Technically, Regia and
Start
Tarako
on-
are basically equal distance, but Regia is slightly closer.
Which one is more out of the way? Because I
I'm
would
just gonna show you
I
a
would
world
want to
map.
be efficient with where we're hitting.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. So you're expected to hit all of the core provinces of Mythdosia. Mythasia is not a core province, it's imperial land, so you are expected to hit Regia, Sedalia, Regia Nova, Transatlia, and Cisatlia. So, I don't know what order you want to do that in. Also, a small thing, Peach, it's
I think making our way counterclockwise is probably
Sure,
best.
you need to make your way to the city, so it'd be this one to this one to this one.
What's this?
That is a ruined old city.
Okay.
Is
Destroyed
that
by
not where they
Cowboy
just
the
oh no,
Vile.
they dug here at this X.
Yeah. We can remove that. It doesn't really matter anymore. Oh,
there
anyways.
was something here, right?
Yeah, it's the ruins that
But
was
Zed-
destroyed by
Zed
Calrol.
thought something was here, I think. I don't remember, though.
Oh, in terms of like loot, magic items, I don't know. Maybe. Zed thinks a lot of things. So we want to do.
Never wrong.
So we want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
How
that would
much
be
time do
Regia
we have
next.
for this mission?
None. Or sorry, unlimited.
Oh,
What
The
do we
opposite
have
of none.
time?
well,
Yeah,
so
he
we
said,
just,
how much time do you have?
So what we're saying is what he's saying is we can just slack and just do whatever.
Excuse me?
I'm joking. That was out of character. That was out of
Surely it
character.
was.
Wait,
Actually
no
said
way.
that.
That was actually out of character. What the hell?
You get
No
away with it
way.
this time.
Just saying, this is like the filler arc where we do whatever.
You get away to do it.
could play the ignorance. Alright, please be ignorance, okay.
Anyways, last thing before we either leave for Reggie or decide to go somewhere else. It is Rixion. Rixion is the pronunciation for it.
Rixion.
Rixion, yeah.
Rixion.
Yeah, you got it.
Is there a nickname that I can call him? Because that doesn't go well with my tongue.
Father Rixion, would you like a nickname?
Father would work, I guess.
What a Riz.
Oh yeah, that would work. No, God, don't call it that. Jesus
Father
Christ.
Riz.
Dang.
That is the worst thing you've
Max
said.
Riz cheese.
That is the worst thing you've said all session. Oh my God.
Today, that it's gross.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Jesus.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
Christ. Anyways, yeah, Father, because he is a actual cleric, like priest guy.
Got it. Okay, okay. Good. Good, good.
Okay, so we're going to Regia.
Apparently.
Based. So you guys make your way to the stables in the Department of Faith. There you recover Mickey and Nami. The rest of you get riding horses. It is what it is. These will be free. If you lose any on the road, that's a big L for you. Are we clear on what we're actually doing? Like what our orders are?
From what I understand,
No.
basically people have been feeling kind of unsafe in their own cities. So we're going around to figure out, hey, anything happening that's making people feel unsafe at all? Anything that's not making us feel like a happy little country?
Yeah.
And then if there's anything that's bothering them, we're gonna deal with it as well as we can.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to get in our way and not tell us what's going on, then we're gonna be all like, got this piece of paper, bitch.
I was talking with Parkin earlier. Most of like our able-bodied men that would necessarily stand guard at these places are in the war
That's so
or
funny.
at the Deadwood. So a lot of like the law enforcement, as you would, I guess, a modern term for it, is just gone.
Thank
So
Thank
What you're
God.
saying So what
There's,
you're
like,
saying
pits
is we're gonna
and-
make a woman police force.
Yeah. Based. Nothing wrong with that.
I think we're just gonna do our like objectively stated job as judges.
Oh yeah, true. Literally, yeah, this is basically your job. So you're-
Normal
Like, yeah,
job.
Yeah.
okay, we don't have anything good for you guys. Just go patrol or something.
Well, they did have good stuff for you. He said as much.
deserters and bandits.
Yeah. That's,
Well, he wanted to send you after something called Warrior Lodges on the Plains, but he asked to do this instead.
Who asked to
The,
do that?
the consul, he said that
Oh.
he'd prefer to have sent you to deal with either like cults or the Warrior Lodges on the Plains, but political pressure is making it so you guys have to do this instead. So
So we
whatever
got
that
the boring
means.
side quest.
Yeah, exactly. Boring side quest.
Christ.
Okay, so you guys are headed to the city of Regia. You all get on horseback. It's a one-day ride, pretty hard ride to the city of Regia.
Here's a question.
Mhm.
I have Find Steed. If that was up, what would it be? Just
Ooh, that's a great question. One sec, let me pull up the list. Does this include Pegasi? Would that fall under Fine Steed, or is that Fine Greater Steed?
I think that's
That's
greater.
later.
Okay, and so this is just like it would be a war horse with golden glowing eyes.
Okay.
And you ride that. Like, how does that work? You just like summon something.
Yeah, and he just rides it.
Yeah, and
Like
it's,
he summons it like from the heavens, or like it existed around us and now it has.
I think
glowing
as you got,
eyes?
well, you probably would have pre-summoned it, right? Because you don't use a
Yeah,
spell slot on
it
it right
would
now.
have
Okay, yeah.
already
So you guys
been
go
out.
to the stables, and as you extract you extract Nami, and Maximus extracts Mickey. Father Rixion exits a stable booth along with a horse with golden glowing eyes.
Father,
How
it's-
many attempts to touch the
Okay.
Oh
horse?
my.
I didn't hear what Renesmee said.
She said,
Father.
"Father Rixion, oh my."
yeah, what a lovely horse you have. Oh, glowing eyes. I've
Thank
never
you.
seen anything like it.
It was granted me, but it was granted to me by the divine flame.
Just like that, Nami is thrown away.
Wow. Oh. Wow. Have you? Well,
Oh
What
god.
is the afterlife called?
The Tranquilline Halls.
And then the war is called what?
The War in the Plains?
No, the war, like, isn't there like an afterlife war that we're supposed to be doing?
One day, yeah.
One day. What is that not called something?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I hope to
Like
ride
Holy
in the
Jihad.
Tranquilline Halls one day.
how very, well, just absolutely beautiful. This is Nami, and I'll pat her head.
The
She doesn't
White
have
Horse.
glowing eyes, but she's a good girl.
Yes,
you want
I'm
to
sure.
tell Father Rixion how you got her?
Huh?
Did she
While
get
performing our
nominated?
judgely duties.
Ah, yes, of course. That includes stealing from the peasantry.
What? Quite the accusation.
That
You
is quite
stole
the
from the
accusation.
common man?
Of course not. And I'll look at Maximus like very confused. We would never steal from a common man. What are you speaking of, Maximus? He likes to bully me because I speak to his horse. I am a druid.
How did you get the horse then?
We reclaimed it from a man who was abusing her.
Reclaimed. That implies it was yours in the first place.
Well, everything belongs to the Empire and under his divine
That's
light.
true.
So everything belongs to you because it belongs to the Emperor?
No, not necessarily, but we did reclaim it for judicial purposes in order to maintain, Aurelian Sol's domain and order amongst the land.
Are there any like laws against animal abuse in the Empire?
Kind of, yeah.
Alex, what's
Wow.
the Mythosian word for copium?
It's slavery, but animals have rights. What the fuck?
What do you mean? That's how most human societies have worked for all time.
That's so stupid.
I'm
Okay.
confused. Why would
Fucking
Maximus
horses.
want Father Rickson to not like Grenesme?
He just likes fucking with you, I think. I don't know if it's a particularly targeted
Who said
thing.
that? What? Who said that?
Maximus
Oh, he seems like really
confirmed.
strict.
Yeah.
No,
So I feel
do
like
just, I do
think
just like
that-
fucking with you.
Well, Father Rixion, I mean, it depends, right? So in some context, it could be legitimate to yoink someone's personal property. This absolutely is allowed in the Empire, so I don't know. It's up to your personal opinion.
I tried to make my explanations as godly as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Performance check.
Okay.
Well, none of that will be happening under my watch.
No worries. Of course.
Rania pokes the horse. What happens?
It is perfectly behaved. You poke this steed with glowing golden eyes, and it just sort of looks at you. Well, actually, you just see its head sort of turn, and those golden glowing orbs seem to cast their light on you rather than forward.
Oh,
looks
does
at
it
the
look
screen like
friendly?
Horse?
Does the horse look friendly?
Yeah.
No.
Does Father Rixian look friendly? That's the
No,
answer.
Depends who's asking.
No, the horse looks very well maintained, like very, very disciplined. But I would not say friendly, no. A lot
Cool.
like Father Rix.
Rania's satisfied. She'll go to mount.
Okay.
the horse.
You guys
Very
ride westward
satisfied.
through the spring rains. You exit the province of Mithdosica. It is filled with plantations that are being sown by debt slaves or whatever else can be gathered up due to the sort of manpower shortage afflicting the empire at the moment. And you head westward into the province of Regia. This is a ancient province in the sense that most cities were either had their cultural identity obliterated by either the empire or the republic, and yet Regia keeps its sort of unique provincial culture. It's not good. It's certainly not like better than the empire. They have vast plantations just like every other part of the empire. They take advantage of labor, but it is a distinctly not Mythdosian culture because pre-republic, Regia was its own independent kingdom, but was conquered by the republic and allowed to keep some of their, stuff. So rather than passing by familiar sort of locales, you see a unique sort of architecture, the Regian plantation style of architecture, with great swooping columns, vast properties covered in debt slaves and whatever else, and cypress trees, which seem to be very in fashion within this region. And as you get closer to the city of Regia, I'm sorry, Peach saying "cuz old" is very funny, or higher "cuz old." But as you get closer to Regia, it begins to look more and more like a traditional Mythdosian province. You get, legionnaire patrols, even in this, relatively backwards place of the empire. And as you get to the city of Regia itself, it is very advanced. It has outer walls, which is not a guaranteed thing in the Empire. It has vast, sprawling temples to Aurelian's soul. You can see the domes poking up even over the city walls. And then on a hill overlooking the whole of the city, you see the gubernatorial palace, not dissimilar to the one in Ravinium, where it has this sort of like bird's eye view over the whole of the city. So, we've reached the city of Regia.
All right, we need to
Alright,
go
well,
to the
the
governor, right?
governor's palace.
Sure. Yeah, you guys make your way into the city. You make your way up the mound, the sort of switchbacks leading to the gubernatorial palace. And as you get closer, of course, you pass by a guard post in which 4 guards step forward. They wear these are clearly not legionnaires. This is a rare sight in the Empire. These are personal men-at-arms of a senator. They're allowed to have them. They're just very expensive, so most people don't. But these 4 personal men-at-arms sort of step into the path to block your continued progress up these switchbacks.
We did a long rest, Peach, so just do it when you can.
I'll try.
Hello.
The guard looks up at you. What do you want?
Look down at my judge's badge.
We need to speak with the governor.
I see the badge. What do you need to speak to him about? He's having an important meeting.
Imperial business.
The men-at-arms remains in place.
I'll show him my reminder of duty. I'll produce it.
The man looks at it. He clearly cannot read, so he hands it over to the other man next to him. That man looks it over. This doesn't say what your duty is here.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't concern you.
We're representatives of the Emperor. We need to speak with your governor.
The guard rolls up the scroll and hands it back to you. And they shadow you as you continue your way up the switchbacks. You can't tell whether they're openly insubordinate or they're just very loyal to their governor. It's a fine line. And you continue up the switchbacks, approaching the actual palace itself. And it is really pretty. Almost every single gubernatorial palace was freshly built by the Empire. Nothing existed there before. Or some, like Tarako, was completely destroyed and had to be rebuilt from scratch. The gubernatorial palace in Regia is not that. It is a former palace of a kingdom. It has ancient columns. There is great mosaics of past glories unique to this city. It is dripping with this sort of unique character of Regia. And more importantly, it is crawling with these bodyguards to this governor. And you will be led up the steps of the palace, which again is not in any Mythosian fashion you're familiar with. Looks more like something of the West. And as you ascend the steps, you will be led through labyrinthine corridors, eventually up a stairwell, and up towards a balcony. And just before we meet with the governor, we will take a 5-minute break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back.
Are you like half of these races not allowed?
Yeah, I'd have to make a
How's
new
your
table
table
for
work?
it. Yeah,
Oh,
it'd just
okay.
be a new table. Okay, welcome back to Pax Mithdosica. We were talking about spells during the break. So, you arrive at Regia. With the guards, you make your way through the palace. You see the back of the guy's head, and a man rises to meet you. He looks remarkably familiar, and it takes you a few seconds to realize that he looks a lot like Lars, like a lot like him. Maybe a relative. He has a much more severe expression, though, a very harsh-looking face. Sort of like, a lot like Lars. And Lars, not the consul, but your former party member, to clarify. And as you all approach with the guards, he'll sort of raise a hand to sort of stop the group that's walking forward, and one of the soldiers will approach him, sort of whisper something into his ear. The governor, he is old. He's like in his mid-60s, gray hair. He has sort of gray streaks running through his beard, but it almost seems like intentionally stylish, like he didn't dye those portions of his beard. Probably not. If he did, it was a long time ago, because he has very soft hands. He is in a sort of like traditional uniform, though, which would be a toga. So like a purple toga with a golden lining along the interior. And he speaks to the guard, and after a few moments, he sort of narrows his eyes. and he'll walk forward to the 5 of you. You're in sort of a sitting room. He was on a balcony, but now he's walked into the sitting room. Well, judges.
Governor?
Apparently you have very urgent business with me.
Yes. By the authority of the Emperor, we're here to root out crime in your city. Crime has run amok lately, and I'm sure that your city is filled with it as well.
He narrows his eyes.
Entire province,
Not just city.
Oh, province, yeah.
What exactly are you implying about my authority of command, Judge?
Then maybe you don't have the resources to keep your lands crime-free.
Clan Regia is plenty wealthy and our cities are plenty safe.
The issue is that so many of our fighting men that used to be here taking care of the city have gone to fight the Valiant War. Naturally, without those men all throughout the province, some things have gone a little bit awry. We're just sent here to make sure that everything is well under order.
The Emperor has handpicked us to come to all the provinces in the realm. If he thought that your province had no crime, he wouldn't have sent us here. You doubt the Emperor?
No, but I do doubt you. I'm a proconsul. I would expect you to respect that. Even within your strange position outside the hierarchy, I do outrank you, and I'd expect you to watch your tone when speaking to a governor. Now,
Any apologies for them, Governor. They are not accustomed to this sort of interaction.
Did you just apologize for father?
He doesn't
Okay,
actually
okay.
outrank us, right?
no, it does. Proconsuls and consuls are the only people in the Empire that do. They're the only ones you can't order around. Now, technically, like you did with Consul Galerius, if you think they're guilty of something, you can overmine everything I just said, but by default social protocol, those are the only two ranks.
Sent us here, so I'm kind of skeptical of
That's fine.
everybody right
Yeah,
now.
that's totally fair. Yeah. The governor will sit down in a chair.
Have we shown him the note yet?
No, but you showed it to one of his guards, who then spoke to him. So presumably the message was transferred. He will look at the fire. When he sits down, he seems to sort of release all of his weight into that chair. He's a very tense man. And he will wave at one of his servants, and a glass of wine will be brought over, and he sort of adopts the same position he was sitting on the balcony, but now inside the sitting room. It is true that this so-called honorable war on the plains has stripped away a great number of resources. One of my own sons is out there fighting for the legions.
Bless his soul.
He looks at you. Yes, I suppose so. Either way, it's true the manpower is being stripped away, but the city of Regia is safe. We've not had bandits as other provinces have. I have no intention of letting my province fall into disrepair and ruin like those other blowhards that they call governors.
Even your outskirts?
We do not have bandits.
Any kind of crime at all.
Well, yes, Governor. We are here to assist you, not to investigate it.
I'll produce the actual, because I didn't show the orders to the other guys. I'll produce the orders and show them to the governor himself.
Renesmee right now is like embarrassed of like she feels like her fucking dad is there with her and he's just yelling and she's like, oh my god, I can't like even like interrupt him, like I need you know?
Yeah, he will take the orders with like surprisingly strong, like he yoinks it out of the father's hand. Obviously very disrespectfully, but he just grabs it and looks at it. He sort of folds it up a little bit, not like crumpling it, but like folding it so he can read one portion of it, and he sort of squints at this signature. That greasy little man's still alive in the Department of Faith. And you promoted him to a deputy autarch. Oh, my. What happened to the prior deputy autarch? I rather liked him. He fought well on the plains.
Has word spread? I would know. Would Rixion know?
You would imagine everyone in the Empire would know. Yeah, the fact that he doesn't, it almost seems like he's prompting you to talk about it. Like, he surely would have to know if he's even slightly politically informed.
Oh, well, he was arrested and executed, of course, for crimes against the Empire.
Scum.
Yes.
Yes.
It was quite unfortunate. You would, you know.
And what do you think of it? Did he strike you as a traitor? He's asking all of you.
I never personally interacted with the man, but I trust the process. He confessed.
Granny will sign something if he knows real sound language.
He doesn't, but he will sort of gesture at Grania and say, "Is she a mute?"
Yes, yes.
Girl, what'd you say? Does any of your companions know how to translate?
I'll look at Grania and try my best.
Trying to think how I can shorten this.
How much? What's your proficiency at, Peach?
Now it's at 18 out of
Out of
Yeah, it's
whatever.
not even half.
Yeah, she's like, basic conversational.
Yeah. Nice daughter-made friend.
Yes. What Granny is trying to say is that it was quite unfortunate to all of us. He didn't seem like a traitor at all, and that's the most worrying part of some traitors. You know, they seem so friendly and great.
signing.
That's okay.
She's still going.
You can kind of tell that I'm like adding my own stuff to it, and that's fine. I'll be like, speaking from my own experience of being a part of that. It was just.
Yeah, the governor will press his lips flat and like raise his hand, like in a silencing gesture.
Yes.
That's enough.
Well, you asked.
Rennie looks confused.
He narrows his brow. Yes, I asked a simple question, not for you to blather on. Now, if you're here anyways and you need to make yourselves busy so that you look good back to your greasy little man in the Department of Faith, there's something you can go busy yourself with. My son was going to deal with him when he got back, but he's been delayed. So, in the north, there's a little village, and some foolish senator there is trying to marry a common girl.
Is that illegal?
Is that
Not
against the law?
explicitly illegal, but it is insanely, taboo.
Is it like a disgrace on his family? Or
Yeah,
what is,
and
who is
well,
the
it's
disgrace on?
the disgrace would be on all senators to even lower themselves to believing that commoners could be potential partners.
Okay.
And the governor will say, both of the men, the boy, the fool boy, wants to marry the girl, and the father have sent me requests. The boy wishes for me to make him a quaestor so that he can force through the marriage on his own. The father wishes for me to forcibly annul the marriage. I frankly don't care too much, so go there, see if you can resolve it amicably. Otherwise, I suppose, and he sort of raises a finger half-heartedly, I endow you with the authority of the governor of Regia to make this not my problem.
Duly noted.
He sort of thinks for a moment before dismissing you. Your names.
I'll wait around. Okay.
They're vaguely... I feel like I
Brother
recognize some of
Rixion.
you here. Not you.
Renesme
points
de Fabio
towards-
Fabricia. Are you in any way related to Lars Ignia?
Yes.
Wait, you mean
You are.
Lars?
Wait, you don't mean
Not-
Lars
not-
Ignia.
Not Ignia.
Wait, you confused them. You mean Lars Titus Regia?
Lars Titus Regia. Yeah, Lars Ignia is your boss.
Titus, got it.
Yeah.
Lars Titus Regia.
Yes. How'd you know him?
He served with us as a judge.
His expression darkens. Ah, so you're those ones.
Yes.
I see. Well, go deal with the village and then move along.
So be it.
We'll do our best.
He just stares as you guys leave. It's a bit of a freaky stare. Just glares you down. But you leave the governor's office and head out into the rain. A master servant will catch up and give you the specific details. There is a town named Polania. It's to the northeast. The particular people who reached out to the governor is the father, who is named Tiberius Paulus Gnaeus Regia, and the son, who is Marcus Tiberius Gnaeus Regia. And obviously, you heard from the governor, they have very different requests, and the governor doesn't really want to deal with it. And either way, he's going to piss somebody off.
So are they already married, or are they?
No,
They want to.
No.
they want to be.
Okay.
Or maybe
And
they
is
are.
there
I don't know.
anything-
The
is
governor
there
didn't give you much.
Codified in the Summa Theological on
So the
this?
Summa
or
Theologica
anything
says
that-
nothing about the rights of senators. That is all secular law.
Oh,
Okay, so
fortunately,
this
I
is
haven't
just
heard
a-
of secular law.
This is just a reputation-based thing, then.
Potentially.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think, Maximus, you can consult the tome as you guys are headed out to your horses. And the rules around senators. I mean, in other countries they're called nobles. In the Empire they're called senators, even though they're not elected anymore. But the rules between senators and commoners technically aren't laws, but there have literally been people that have been like disowned, banished, or even killed for violating this very strong social convention, which leaves it in a really awkward spot for you judges because there is no legal basis upon which you can base your decision. And you kind of just gotta have vibe, intuit it. And who knows, normally something this small would just be dealt with by anyone, like a praetor or an aedile, or the fact that this is even on the governor's desk, there has to be something else complicating the situation.
Yeah, I'm sure that we'll find out what it is.
Yeah. So you head out to your horses. He never did give you a straight answer, but you get the vibe that he definitely knows Lars.
Is his
Well,
last
it's like
name
he's really
Regia? Or we're in the Regia.
You're in the province, the city, and the clan's heartland. They're not very strong outside of this province, but in this province, they are. Most governorships are appointed by the emperor, but the one in Regia is almost hereditary. There has not been a non-Regian governor. All of them have been from Clan Regia, so it's basically like a hereditary governorship, which again doesn't really exist anywhere else in the empire. So you make your way out to horses, you mount up. And with the directions from the master servant, you can start heading eastward in the direction of a small little town called Polania. I guess, as you guys are riding northeastward, do you talk over the case all? Do you have any thoughts, or are you just waiting for more fact-finding?
Fact-finding for me. Yeah. How about you guys?
I'm looking for a reason to not let them just get married, because I feel like it's...
I feel like we already have the reason. It's a terrible social convention, and we'll be blamed with upholding it.
Based.
That and our governor has, the governor, someone who has authority over us, has ordered us to not let it happen.
Well, no, the governor said find it.
He has ordered us to deal with it.
Yeah. Deal with it in whatever way we want, literally.
Well, okay, to be clear, he said, he didn't say it explicitly, but he basically said quickly and quietly. He doesn't want to hear about this. He doesn't want this to be some big thing that blows up and becomes a big deal. He just wants you to deal with it so he doesn't have to. So, don't murder people would be a big one. I didn't need to be said, but you know what? I'm saying it anyways.
Don't let the murder be found out.
Oh, well, technically, yes. True. Yeah, so you guys ride northeastward. Regia is beautiful. It looks a lot like... Well, it kind of looks like what you would imagine all of the Regina Peninsula would look like without intense levels of agriculture. There's forests here, which really don't exist in Regia, the Regina Peninsula, outside of the Deadwood. And the Deadwood is, as you know, different. But, there are dense copses of trees here that bear no signs of, the rotting, trunks of the Deadwood trees. It's almost a bit disconcerting about how unique this province is. It hardly even feels like you're in the Empire. And half the soldiers you see that are on patrol as you move in the direction of Polania over the evening hours, they're not even legionnaires. In fact, you see one patrol of legionnaires the whole time here. The rest of them are all personal men-at-arms of Clan Regia.
Is that common?
No, it's incredibly uncommon. Technically, senators are able to raise levies or men-at-arms for the purposes of warfare, but to keep a standing levy for patrolling your own province is incredibly irregular because it's almost like, you're raising your own army and your own legion.
That seems iffy.
Yeah, it is. But as evening... Yeah?
Nothing. I would just say that these men should be on the plains and no idea what they're doing here.
Patrolling the homeland, keeping it safe, presumably. So, night falls. You've no choice but to find yourselves either a town or just sleep in the wilderness. There are no inns in this sort of rural countryside. There's just not enough traffic to justify it, but if you want, you could always impose yourself and stay in someone's house or barn or something.
Yeah, I mean, I have Shelter of the Blessed, so if we find any, Aurelian soul worshippers...
Yeah, of course. They would have done it anyways just because you're judges. If you want, they will give you housing. I just didn't know if you wanted to avoid imposing yourselves.
No, I'll leave a generous donation.
Okay, yeah. You guys can find... you pass through a village and the Quaestor will excitedly welcome you into his home. There's not really enough beds for all of you, so you have to basically all share one room, though I don't think Maximus or Father Rixion mind sleeping on the floor. And yeah, you guys can be given bedrolls, of course. And the next day, you can continue your journey northeast. This spring rain here...
I gave them 5G.
Nice. That's huge. That's way more than an inn would have wanted. You continue northeastward, and the rain here feels less miserable. In Mithdosica, it's so flat, and there's just agriculture in all directions, so when it rains, you don't even get the nice smell of like a rainy forest. You know, it's just kind of dreary and depressing. But here it seems to, you know, you hear the sound of it hitting leaves all around you, the undergrowth of forest, the tall pine trees nearby. It feels more cozy than it does in other provinces of the empire. And eventually, the signs, which all seem to be written in two tongues, which is Common and Mythos, they eventually direct you towards the agricultural town of Polania. The first glance you get at it is when you're traveling forward and a sign says 0.5 kilometers. Well, it'd be, technically they'd use other units, but for our translation purposes, it would be kilometers or like 0.2 miles or something.
It's really close to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's very close. Thank you. And as you continue, there's woods on your right side, but sort of agricultural grassland on your left. You see herds of sheep, though they're not being tended to. And as you get closer to the town, you can tell there's something deeply wrong here. In the direction of the Quaestor's Manor, there is a small troop of about 10 soldiers. They don't bear the cloaks of like actual legionnaires. They don't even have the livery of those private soldiers of Clan Regia. You instantly denote them as mercenaries. It's not illegal to have mercenaries, but it's just weird for them to be in this agricultural village. There's 10 of them.
At the religious
Quaestor's
place?
Manor. No, the Quaestor's Manor. He's the lord of the city, not a religious figure.
Cloister isn't religious.
Quaestor. But yeah.
I can't hear the difference.
Quaestor, cloister. It's pretty similar. Yeah, Quaestor's not religious. They're the...
Similar. Yeah.
That's
like
fair.
No difference between the words.
It's the lowest ranking senator. It's not a religious thing.
Okay.
And then in the other parts of the town, there are like what can best be described as barricades. They don't seem to be like manned by people with guns or anything like, or like weapons or anything like of that sort, but there are barricades, and the townsfolk, they don't really go about their business. They seem to be largely clustered in the town square, frightfully. And I think that's the sort of sight that you see as town gets closer.
Not supposed to look like that.
A peculiar use of funds.
Yes. How odd.
So where to?
Probably to the Quaestor that's got his mercenaries, because
Sure.
this is the thing that stands out.
Yeah.
And he's probably the one in charge, right? He's a low-level senatorial, and this is a smallish.
Most likely, yeah, he'd be the highest ranking senator in the town.
Okay.
You head to the left, sort of along a dirtish trail. Your approach has been noticed by both the mercenaries on the hill, where the Quaestor's Manor is, as well as the townsfolk. No one really moves to intercept you. When you get within like shouting range of the mercenaries, they don't lower their spears by any means, but they do form up, in a sort of a chevron shape, just in case, battle is to come.
I'll walk right up, or if we're on our horses, I'll trot right up.
Yeah. There's a man at the front. He doesn't bear any like marks of rank, but you can tell just by how the other men move around him that he is the leader of the mercenary group.
We come here under the authority of Governor Regia,
Who are you?
Imperial
judges
judges.
of the Empire.
He seems a bit confused, but he will nod and, gesture at his men with his spear, and they'll move out of the way. They're a mixture of, there's a couple Mithdosians in there, but most of them look to be certainly not even from, this region, not
Are they
Debration or
Debration?
Mithdosian.
Oh, okay.
No, they look to be, one of them is Alceranian with sort of dark chocolate-colored skin. Another one is very pale, probably from the west. You hear that they get... Maybe, but you hear in the western continent, they get rainfall for like half the year. So, they're just not right. They don't have like olive skin like any good Mithdosian. But yeah, it's certainly a diverse, I guess, group of mercenaries. But yeah, they will allow you through, and the steps of someone will descend down the steps of the manor. It's an older man, mid-40s. He has sort of a limp to his left leg. He has scars along his arm, and he instantly strikes both Maximus and Rixion as a former soldier. And as you guys approach, he will sort of give a bow to you, Father Rixion, his eyes mostly focused on your single glowing eye.
Right.
And after he bows, he'll stand up and look at you all.
Expecting trouble, Quaestor?
Yes. Yes, from the townsfolk and my son.
Would
I
you
assume
mind
you were...
telling us more about the situation?
Of course, I assume you were sent by the governor. I put in a
Yes.
request a couple of days ago. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this situation warrants 5 judges, though.
Well, we were passing through anyway, so we're
Oh.
just happy to help.
All right, then. And he'll ascend the steps. He will quickly order, a feast be prepared for the visiting judges and the finest of things be prepared for their horses. And he will head inside to the dining room in which, you guys can have servants sort of fawn over you. The servants look nervous as they're doing this, though. Maybe not about you, but just in general, sort of tense. And you can dismount your steeds, head inside. A spread is, rapidly being put. Little finger food and drinks and things like that are being placed on the table. And the Quaestor almost looks embarrassed and says, "Well, if I'd been knowing to expect 5 judges, I would have prepared in advance."
No fault of your
No,
own.
it's okay.
So, what did the governor tell you?
Said there's a senatorial son wishes to marry a commoner. And
That's
to
pretty
resolve
much
the
it.
situation without much blow up.
Oh, that would be good. Well, I'm going to get a promotion, you see. I've been a Quaestor here for about 5 years. I was going to become an aedile, so we were going to move back to Regia. And as I began my preparations to move, my son simply disappeared. I, of course, sent men out to search for him, and they found him hiding in a shack on the edge of town with a woman, commoner. I don't know her exact name, but I know she's the daughter of the carpenter in the town. Pretty, but it's not worth ruining his life over, and I tried to explain this to my son. And I can't quite understand how, but the townsfolk seem to have rallied around him and said that it wasn't fair that commoners were treated as they were, and that they were going to, well, do something. They never said it explicitly, but their intentions were clear. They were going to try to overthrow me, make him a Quaestor, as if it would justify their actions, illegal actions. So I hired protection and sent a request to the governor to resolve this in the only way it can be. The 2 of them splitting up, and then us going back to Regia as we were meant to. I don't know why, they rally around him so, but I'm worried that they'll do something to harm themselves. They couldn't stand a chance against my mercenaries.
But why do you think that
hire
they're to harm
mercenaries
you?
in that case?
They're disgruntled rabble.
Like you've heard it through the grapevine, through your servants, that they're planning something?
Well, not exactly, but they refuse to accept my authority over them. It's outwardly insubordinate.
Did you have any of them sent to the stockades?
I couldn't. If I move down my men from this hill, who knows, they may charge my men, or if I join my men, then they may swarm us. I don't want a bloodbath.
Well, insubordination on that level for an entire town is...
Did you have a
start
good
setting
relationship with
examples.
your... Oh, sorry.
Peach?
Oh, did you have a good relationship with your son? Before this, I mean.
It was complicated, but he's a good boy. He's learned in leadership and fighting, as any good man should. He's always not understood the new responsibilities that come with being senators. You see, we were not born into it. I earned it through service.
And where's his mother?
That
I'm
Was
so
he
sorry.
close to her?
When?
long time ago. I was out in the field and she passed to disease that could have been cured by clerics, but we couldn't afford it at the time.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss.
It was a long time ago.
Were you around
Yes.
for his formative years or in the service?
I was serving the Empire. His mother was a... I regret saying it, but she was a camp follower that I'd taken a liking to, so when my campaigns took me away, I was gone for months or years at a time. She couldn't follow the army as she had before.
What do
Is
they
it-
know what that means?
A camp
Question,
follower?
what's a camp follower?
Depending on, if he's really veiling his language, it would be a prostitute. Or if he means an
Yeah.
actual camp follower, it would mean just like a
So
woman
either
who cleans
not
pots
like a
and pans.
senatorial person.
No, it'd be a very low ranking, like one step above slave, like in the social hierarchy.
Like a commoner.
Yeah, like a
Excuse me,
commoner. Well,
sir.
he was also a commoner back then.
But if
He
your
was
wife was a
common back
camp follower and you fell in love with her, I mean, you were in love, yes?
Well,
Of course. Well, for that night anyways.
Well,
Is he your only son?
don't you see the similarities between your situations?
I do, of course. I'm not blind, but we're senators now. We're held to a higher standard. I wouldn't have earned my rank if I believed I could just go off and do any random things. There's a duty that we have. And yes, he is my only son. He's my only child.
When you
believe
were
there's
sorry.
So, Albert, do you believe there's a chance that you could have him have an official marriage and truly be with her?
Absolutely not. What are you talking about? I've fought hard for this family to get where we are. Fought harder than any other man I know. We've gained the
Well,
title
you
of
could take
senator.
Wait, are concubines a thing in the Empire?
Yeah, certainly.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Mistresses, sort of things like that, where it's like, you
Concubines
sleep
are
with
like
this...
basically like a secondary wife that isn't really a wife, but just like someone you sleep with.
Yeah, those certainly do exist, and especially for high-ranking men. But if he just wanted to have a concubine, that's, like, not bad at all. Like, that'd be totally acceptable. It's clear that he had the intent of marrying her, which is the not chill part.
So, you think there's a possibility he could take her officially as a concubine instead?
The father will shrug. If you could convince the boy, that'd be acceptable. He could get a proper wife, stop bringing stain to our family.
You wouldn't even have to love her. It's just about, fulfilling his duty, as you said.
Exactly.
Surely you can see reason if we talk to him.
If you can convince him. Trust me, my first choice was not to hire mercenaries against my own damn son in my village. I tried to discuss things reasonably with them. I got this for it, and he sort of shows a large bruise on his upper collarbone.
Who was that?
What would
by?
it take to change your mind?
Change my mind about what?
What?
Well, obviously you're afraid of your own people at this point.
Of course I am. They are insubordinate, rebellious even. I don't want them to get harmed, though, either.
With that bruise on your skin.
I wouldn't name him specifically, for I don't wish him to receive what I know is his just punishment. I know the harm of hitting a senator, but suffice it to say, a member of the crowd got too excited and he threw something at me. I don't think he meant to hurt me this much.
Have you tried to talk to your son? I mean, it sounds like you have, but how did
Of
that
course I
conversation
have.
go?
Well, it involved me telling him that such a thing must be, if he'd made any promises, they must be broken, and he must return with me to Mythos. And then perhaps we could talk about going to Regia and becoming Aediles and continue on our course. And, he spoke to the crowd, frothed them into a frenzy. That's when I received that, and, well, I haven't been able to speak to him since.
A question for Harkon, I guess. When a man becomes a senator, if he has a son, is the son, born into senatorialship?
Yeah, his whole
Or did he,
family is
choose
uplifted
it?
with him.
Got it. And if the son doesn't want to be a senator, can his dad still be a senator?
Technically, yes, but as he said, it would basically be the end of his line. Like, this new senatorial house built from service would basically instantly be defunct because he has no other kids.
He should have had
Oh,
more.
yeah, but, he would be a senator, but, his bloodline. of
Yeah, his promotions
senatorialship.
probably stop, though, because a big part of, the Mythosian politics is families loyal to families. And if you don't have, a kid, they're not really making, you're the end of the line. If anything happens to you, then that alliance is broken, so it's viewed as, a very weak alliance. So there's no real way you're going to, Technically, yes, but that's mostly a thing for, really high-ranking Mythosians,
okay.
members of the Imperial family, not random bozos in the countryside.
But would he be able to?
No,
Is that something-
he'd have to adopt other. He has to adopt another senator because if you can't make a commoner senator by adopting them. That's not chill. First, you need to be promoted to senator, and then you need to be adopted into a senatorial family. So he could, if you could find a 19-year-old martial senator with no parents that wants to be adopted into a random
So
Quaester's
how
household.
was Zed different then? Because he didn't have any.
Zed got promoted to senator by Tullius, and then he was adopted by Tullius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the power to promote somebody to anything because he's the
No, that is a power exclusively held by the emperor and governors.
Well.
Well.
Well,
a
do you have
real
any
sticky
other
wicket.
information that you would like to bestow upon us before we go out and try and find out what your son's thinking?
I think his eyes will, sort of languish on your weapons and say, just be careful.
Oh, we have no intent to hurt them or anything.
Well,
Of course
even if
not.
they strike you, you're real warriors. You could do a lot of harm, even by accident.
Yes. We have no intention of harming any of the townspeople, and I take it that you have some great love for them, for the fact that you've defended them, the person who gave you that bruise.
They are my duty.
Mm-hmm. I respect that, and I'll give him a little smile.
He just nods.
Well, folks.
Well.
Well.
What are you thinking, Peach? That's a lot of wells.
I feel like we need to go talk to the son, talk to the lady.
Okay. So, remaining on horseback, you guys descend from the manor in the direction of the town. And now you understand why those barricades were placed where they are. It's actually kind of like they must have had some guy that understood even the slightest amount about small unit tactics, because Maximus, you recognize all paths other than the central path have been cordoned off, as if they're trying to like funnel potential attackers into the town square. It's too sophisticated for a random town militia, or if it is, there's got to be like some veteran like amongst them.
Hence the mercenaries.
Yeah, certainly. And you guys descend the path, and slowly, the village forms. And, realistically, when he said the whole village turned against him, you see no children. You see a couple of women, actually, but the majority of the women aren't there. Hell, even the majority of the men probably aren't there. This looks like a town that could easily have like 600 people. There's like 80 people in the town square. Not a small force. I mean, push come to shove, that could still easily kill one man, like tear him limb from limb. So it's understandable they hired mercenaries, but it's not the whole village. It's like 80 people. And sort of at their front, you see two people. There is a young man. He, early 20s. Somewhat handsome-ish, I guess. Not really, though. He mostly just has a very proud air about him. He has his sort of chin up, and he's wearing nicer clothes than the rest in the crowd. And the next to him is a young woman. Again, just like him, she's pretty average looking, and she's sort of like fawning over him. I don't know how each of the party members feels about that, but she's like has her arms like draped across him, looking up at him like, "Oh, you're gonna take care of this." And he will look at the five of you as you approach at the sort of head of this group of commoners, most of them holding some sort of farming implements, though one or two actually have spears.
I'll wave at them kind of friendly. Like, hi!
The young man will sort of glower at you.
Are you the Quaestor's son?
I'd rather be called by my name than that title.
What is your name?
Marcus.
Right, Marcus, Tiberius.
No,
Danius,
just Marcus
yes.
will do just fine.
Well, Marcus, we've been sent to figure out what is going on in this town about your scandalous love affair. We spoke
There's
to your
nothing
dad.
scandalous about it.
Yes.
Well, that's
sure.
just what's,
Why don't we, before we begin all this, why don't we send these townsfolk home? Nothing needs
As
to
if
happen.
you'll drag me up to the hill to my father, then I'll disappear before they can do anything about it. No, I don't think so.
Look, can we just
Do
talk
you
right
think
here?
your few men here would stop us from that?
I think that you
Well,
won't kill good citizens to the Empire.
Of course we wouldn't.
If they're attacking judges, then one could be good citizens of the
I'm looking at
Empire.
Severus like, what the hell is this guy?
I'm saying, whether your men are here or not doesn't make a difference at all.
Well, regardless, we just want to talk. Would you like to talk here?
Yes, they should hear. He gestures at the crowd of 80 or so people.
Well,
I
they shouldn't.
I completely understand that you kind of want to do this publicly, but we just want to talk to you and your future wife.
He looks over at her and he says, "Yes, well."
What is her name, may I ask? We've been told about everyone's except hers, and I'll
She
look
speaks
at her
up
and
and
I'll
says,
nod.
"My name's Festinia."
Basinia, beautiful name. We
Thank
just
you.
want to speak to you both and kind of get your side of things. We can stay where your townsfolk can see you, but we'd rather just speak to you in a semi-private way, if that's possible.
Marcus looks back and they have a lot of trust in that young man, like a weird level of it. You don't know what he could have possibly done, but there are like 40-year-old sort of paunch-bellied farmers that look at him for permission, and then when he nods, they sort of spread out to the edge of the square. you know, they're clearly not soldiers, except for those 1 or 2 with spears. Those give you a little bit of pause just because they may actually try to hurt you, and then you may actually have to kill them. The rest of them, you can just, like, keep them at arm's length. But they sort of spread out to the edge of the square. Grania?
I'll see if she can fall off her horse.
Oh, okay.
She dismount.
Yeah, you dismount successfully.
Well,
But yeah, Marcus remains in place with Festinia next to him.
well, it's nice to meet you both. Of course, we've heard much about your situation. It is peculiar, unusual. Doesn't mean that it's wrong, of course, but just out of the ordinary. And it's causing some disturbances amongst the
I don't think a man
regular
falling
Abolitor.
in love with a woman is all that peculiar. If you think it is, perhaps that says more about your romance life than anything else.
Well, no, like
You get some
peculiar, like in the
yellow
social norms of things.
There's nothing that separates me from her. I was born a commoner.
Indeed, you were. I believe that you think that I'm on a different side than I really am.
He narrows his eyes.
I'd like for us to speak to each other with respect. I don't come here to insult you, and I hope that you don't come here to insult me either. Or my fellow judges. We're just trying to take account of your side of things.
Well,
Could you tell us more about, I guess, how you guys met? How
Wait.
this whole standoff against Father and townspeople kind of occurred? What's kind of going on with it, etc.?
well, I grew up here. We've been here for the last 6 years. I mean, he sort of blushes a little bit and says, I simply got to know her, I suppose, and she's kind. Either way,
Why haven't you been married already?
well, there's no priest in the town to officiate such a ceremony, and I wouldn't want to dishonor her. Either way, when he told me we were leaving, I realized that it was my only chance. If we were to return to Regia and he was to continue to pursue his career, I'd probably never come back here. At some point, you have to take a stance. So I told her that I wanted to get married, and when Father learned of that, he was greatly angry. He came and tried to drag me back up to the manor. Some of the townsfolk who knew of me, I mean, as I said, I practically grew up here. I consider myself more one of them than I consider myself of him. He's the only senator in the town. It's not like as if he even raised me. So they helped me protect myself, and when, they realized he was going to drag me away, I told them what I wanted. I told them I wanted to be one of them, not be like him. Stay here, marry her.
So you are completely fine if marrying her meant not being a senator?
Of course. Why would I want to be a senator?
What about... Do you think you would be okay with getting away with both? I give him like a conspiratorial smile.
Oh, nods slowly. If I'd never really considered that a possibility. How is it a possibility?
Easy. I'm gonna say,
How is it a possibility?
I'm gonna tell you something. Okay, I want you to listen to my whole story, because I'm gonna say a thing and you're gonna think a different thing than I mean. Okay?
You should choose a different word than Cerberus.
Well, it's... You see, it is neither uncommon nor illegal in the Empire for a man of nobility to have a wife and also have a lover. I understand
He
that
narrows
these
his
two
eyes in
are...
preparation.
I understand that these two are not necessarily often very much interlinked, and traditionally you want to have one as both. But do you think it would be possible for you to consider?
Absolutely not. If I wanted to dishonor her, I would have continued this in the shadows. I wouldn't steal her virtue like that. We'll be married before the Almighty, or... And he just sort of trails off.
What about... Well, so you're saying you would never, take a woman to save face, take a official wife, and then,
He looks at her, and sure she looks at him, and they're very, you don't know how long they've been together, but they're clearly at the moment very in that lovey-dovey like infatuation phase, and they sort of look at each other, and then he looks back to us. Absolutely not.
I understand this sounds awful, but
How old are they?
They're like early 20s, if you had to guess.
Early 20s.
Licinia,
Yeah.
what do you think of
Children.
it?
She looks up and says, "What? I'd like to marry him. I wouldn't want to be some woman hidden in the shadows."
You wouldn't be hidden. You would be his official. This is the term I think a lot of people sourly think of this term, but you could legally take her as a concubine.
It just
She'd
seems
be
dirty.
She'd be officially, just about equal to
Marcus
your wife
shakes his
in
head and says,
most
"No,
things.
it's not an option."
You'd be legally allowed to have children with her, who would be born into your house.
Well,
Well, I
no.
suppose it comes down to.
That's not true, is it, Alex?
Well, technically, they would be legal children. It's just they'd be born of a concubine, so they can't inherit titles and things like that unless you officially adopted them.
Wait, they can't?
No, they're children of a concubine.
But officially,
No,
adopting
Crusader
wasn't-
Kings lied to me.
There's nothing
What?
against that,
Wait a
right?
minute.
Crusader Kings concubines' children count as your children. You can inherit titles to.
No, so
Sounds
yeah.
like Game of
Myth-
Thrones. Like Game
Wait,
of
you
Thrones
just
esque.
if you adopted them, but you also just said that you can't adopt unless they're already senatorial class.
Correct. So if you're
children?
really high ranking, like like the governor back there, if he had an illegitimate child, he has so much clout that that person would essentially already be considered senatorial class. A concubine, a child of a concubine, a bastard, sure, but still of sufficient rank. And then he could just say fuck it and fully elevate them to one of his official children. It's just that boundary between commoner and senator, that's the really hard one to cross. Once you're a senator, whatever. But
I think that in both ways, this comes down to. It's a silly thing, but social norms. You want to marry, as a senator born into it, a commoner, and that breaks social norms, and I, for one, am not against it. And on the other hand, you could have a life with children and continue to be a senator, and even one day adopt the children to be
I don't even
within the
want to be a
senatorial
senator.
line.
What is there waiting for me? Bossing around people that I view as my lessers? It's disgusting.
Well, you could one day inherit this town and take care of them.
There
Show
was
them-
once a day where senators were elected, where they were chosen by their people, where they didn't lord and oppress over the populace. It's a cruel and broken thing. I wouldn't want to be a part of that.
Don't you think
And
that?
what happens to these people once you and your father leave? Or if you guys were to leave? Let's say that you became a commoner. Who would come and rule over this town? You
Doesn't
have a
matter.
good head, at least.
I'd be here with Festinia.
And what if some tyrant rules over you, harming the people?
I would do
Wouldn't
my
you
best.
want to be You grew up here with these people.
You could lead them well.
These people are like,
A benevolent
Doing that with
tyrant
this-
is still a tyrant.
yes,
And I think for some of you, probably not Severus, but for some of you, that instantly ticks a bell because you feel like you've heard that before. There's this one book that you read a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's called
Oh,
Rise of the
no.
Tyrant. And in that, the emperors were very frequently called benevolent tyrants. Undeniably, they'd improve the empire, but
oh
Wait,
no,
what is
I
it
definitely
called?
noticed that one. We just
called-
investigated
Yeah.
heresy. Come on, we all know about this.
yeah, so all of you,
It's
remember
Rise
that
of the
one.
Tyrant King, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and within Rise of the Tyrant, they
Interesting
frequently...
quote.
Yeah, there's that, yeah. The Marcus will look at you, and he seems sheepish for a moment. I must have heard it somewhere. Either way, I wouldn't want to be oppressing over these people, even if someone else could replace me. What's wrong is still wrong.
Well, what if you put
Well-
it to a vote with the townspeople? You enjoy democracy, yes. So what if you let the townspeople vote if they would want you to be their senator or not? If they say no, then they go on to the next. But if they do vote in your favor, then you continue your title.
I would not be opposed, but if I were to be a senator, that would make... He looks down. That would make Festinia a concubine. It's unacceptable. It's not right.
That's only
My
what
father
social
didn't take a
customs
concubine
say.
of my mother. He married her, as is proper.
Are you
That's true, but he
saying-
did so when he was a commoner and then was elevated to senator. Could we, I'll look at my judge friends, could we perhaps do the same thing? Strip his title and then reinstate it?
What?
I don't
mean-
know that we can make senators as judges. I don't think we can do that.
Oh.
No, I don't. I don't think that's within our purview. I'm afraid. But
I mean-
Marcus, I have a question. Are you saying your love cannot transcend these societal norms? Are you saying you don't feel so strongly for her that you would be willing to be with her no matter what? No matter
I'm
the
saying that I would not
circumstances?
steal her virtue in the light of the Almighty. You know what they say, what happens to man and woman who have a child outside of marriage? I would not condemn her to damnation just because of my lustfulness. We'll be married and go to the Tranquiline Halls together or not at all.
Father,
That's
this
the
is your
religious.
purview.
I don't understand what's happening. So Severus is trying to make her agree to be a concubine.
Yeah.
What?
Essentially,
I don't. My religion doesn't really. I don't think that it like if he wants to get married, I can do it, but I don't know that we understand the full consequences of that.
well,
Yeah.
what we're trying to tell him right now, basically, he's afraid that he has a few objections. He doesn't want to be the senator of this place, like, without a democratic kind of vote. So I said, take it to the townspeople, let them decide if they want you to be the senator of this place. If so, be the senator and take her on as, like, a concubine. But he's like, well, the thing is, if she's a concubine and not my wife under, like, the eyes of the Almighty, when we die, she's not going to go to the Tranquiline Halls.
Is that
and I would never
true? Do you have to be
Well,
married to go to the
that's what we're asking
Tranquiline?
you.
I feel like
So you don't have to be married to go to the Tranquiline
It's not
Halls, but
shelter.
having extramarital children is viewed very negatively by the church, like incredibly so, which some sects, including the current mainstream Orthodox one, says that if you have children outside of wedlock and you don't ameliorate that by like adoption or something else, then those kids will go to hell, equivalent of hell, damnation, and you will
what
also...
happened to Pesenia as a concubine?
If she was a
Pesenia.
concubine, she would be torn apart by the Hounds of Oblivion, but then her husband would go to the Tranquiline Halls. Or her, sorry, not her husband, but like
No.
her...
Okay, so like
master or
I
whatever.
think concubine is off the.
Well, yeah, because it condemns her soul to the Hounds of
Although,
Oblivion.
With the tyrant comment, I'm
Yeah, that
wondering
one's
if
a
we
real
get to
fucking...
the Tranquiline Halls at all. You know?
Yeah, we moved on from
I
that, but
was
that's a
gonna
real
say,
sussy
like, why would
comment.
we? Why does he care about the Tranquiline Halls?
Yeah, also, why would he care
already
about
on
democratic
there.
votes? Those aren't chill. Who cares about democratic votes?
He's already on the no-no list.
Either way, he said what he
They
said.
have like, if they have a relationship for long enough, can she be elevated?
Yeah, so the only way for her to be elevated to senator would be if someone of sufficient rank married her. So if he got to like a praetor or something and then he married her, then she could be automatically elevated, or by the direct like ordering of a governor or something equivalent to that. She could be instantly promoted to senator.
But
By
getting
the
our
governor.
governor to agree with that is
Yeah,
Yeah,
the chances
no,
of that,
He
I'm not going to say
thinks
it's...
this
yeah.
is a dumb idea.
Yeah, the chance of that is not, I'm not going to say zero, but like the things you have to do to earn a senator rank, like you would know, this guy, the father, would have spent at least 20 years in the Legion, been promoted to the rank of centurion, then he would have entered a political career. So like you have to do 20 years of work to become a senator.
And
to
her
get a...
qualifications are made
yeah.
the senator's son fall in love with her.
Yeah, which that's actually that thing is probably the thing that literally no one wants to happen. That's probably the worst outcome because then people would be like, well, because commoners would be like, oh wait, I should just go seduce my local senator and then become a senator, and my whole family gets elevated as well, which is what they want to prevent. They don't want that. The senator classes don't want that happening. That's like the whole reason. So that's the worst
So we
solution.
kill all the senators.
Is there a thing of
Simple
like
as.
common law marriage?
No, there's only holy marriage under the eyes of the Almighty.
Your father was going to be a praetor, right? I mean, isn't
No,
he due for
aedile.
No, he's not. It's not even close.
I thought that he said that he was like due for
Promotion to aedile.
promotion.
Aedile is below a praetor,
Ah.
significantly.
And
But
you know,
he wanted
with
to
his
become,
age, it's
he was
unlikely.
going to become an Ada,
Yes,
Yes.
which is above a praetor.
which is no
Below.
above a quaestor, below a praetor.
Oh. Got it. Huh.
We got there.
Um,
It's a lot of wacky titles, I understand.
I do agree with you, Marcus. I believe that in our holy text it does say that if you are not legally married to her, that you would both not find each other in the Tranquiline Halls, and
Exactly.
I wouldn't want that to happen either.
So I'd rather be a commoner and marry her than let him drag me away to a fate of being a senator.
What about having?
How devoted do
believe
you
in
have to be to
yourself?
make it to the Tranquiline Halls?
Not very. As long as you like follow the scripture and you don't do anything really
Okay,
fucked
I
up.
didn't know if it was like some Jehovah Witness, only like
Oh, the
11,000
Giga
people.
Faithful. Yeah, no, it's not
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Do you believe that? Do you believe in yourself being able to achieve a rank of praetor?
Why?
Because if you achieve the rank of praetor, you could marry her without issue.
Delay marrying her for, what, 20 years until I get the rank of praetor, if it even happens?
Yes, but imagine the life you could give her.
That is
That
true.
does give him
Imagine
pause.
imagine the
Yeah,
amount of people
that
you
is
could help.
true.
Yeah, that one does give him pause, because, I mean, he's not dumb. The life of a commoner fucking sucks. Because you're right, a new quaestor could come in and be an asshole, and there's nothing against the law to be an asshole. So Praetor would be pretty nice. But I think after a few moments, he'll shake his head and just say, I can't gamble on something like that. It's not guaranteed. And
If you work enough, if you love her enough, you can make it happen.
Do you think your love is?
I do believe this too.
There aren't many other options. You know it. We know it.
Well, it would require you to constrain yourself in order to preserve her virtue for, well, until you can work to achieve the life that you both deserve. But if you believe that you can work
it's
that
just
hard,
too long. It's too long, and it's not guaranteed.
Has there been anything in life that's guaranteed?
You've got a lot of years left.
And is
You
love
could
not
make
worth
it
it?
there.
Not
You
only
make it-
know
love,
you don't
but
wanna-
such
I
a
know
Make it good
nobody wants to
Senator.
hear this, but what if you marry her on the spot, you become a commoner, you're very happy, and then a year from now, one of you dies of the pox.
Yes.
Nothing in life is guaranteed. You
he
have to
just
take
looks up,
chances
with a
sometimes.
sort of, he looks up and, when he looks at you with those very, that brave expression, you kind of get why some of the townsfolk have fallen in line, because he just looks at you and says, I don't care. I know she'd be waiting for me if I were to die.
They're in love. They truly
You
are.
have to take chances sometimes. Do you think this one's
20
worth
years
it?
of waiting with no guarantee at the end of it is unacceptable.
See, just
Be a commoner, as I've said from the beginning. I have no
scared
qualms
then.
accepting my fate. You just need to get my father to let me go. If I marry her, I'll be reduced to a commoner. That's acceptable for me.
What about him?
Well, of course
This'll
he's not
stay his
happy with
entire
that.
career.
He'll still be a senator, right? It's not as if they take that away from him. He did his service. He fought for the Empire.
He may not get
The love-
promoted because of
The
this.
love you feel for your wife is the love he feels for you.
well,
He wants to take care of you and provide.
well,
for you.
that was like the worst thing to say ever.
He will shake his head.
Why?
I cannot. The love
No,
you feel for your children is the same you feel for your wife. You don't actually believe that.
No, you
Don't-
do. Okay. You interpret it in the worst way. That was the worst way to interpret it. Jesus Christ.
No, he said it. He literally said it like that. It
definitely
was
how I interpreted
horrible.
Oh, that's how you interpret it too?
Yeah, like he said it like that. It was
See what's
awful.
Don't worry about it, Peach.
I don't know
Anyways.
what has gotten into y'all this session.
Oh wait, no, I
No, this-
misinterpreted what Hecko just said. I just meant the same type of care and affection.
No, that would make sense.
Yes, that's what I meant. I don't know what echo's going
Not the
on.
same
about
type
it.
though.
Anyways, anyways, Marcus will say, I won't hold myself back to help him get further promotions. Maybe it'll slow him down, but he's still a senator. He still earned his rank.
Do you or your father know any governors that could help you, that you think that you could counter your cause?
That's
Of course not.
don't be ridiculous, right, Esme?
It was worth asking. If we could get a governor on his side, it would
doesn't
make
want to
things
hear
easier.
about this again. We can't come up to him and ask for stuff from he spent us here, so he never has to think about this issue again.
Yes. Right, Esme, I don't think any of us with our significantly higher influence could have a governor weigh in on this and help them. It's unlikely that they would know somebody.
Well, I just thought I'd ask.
Understandable. Matt, what was the name of his wife?
Fescentia?
Fescentia?
Oh yeah, Festinia. There we go. We got there.
Festinia.
Trying to stay
Matt.
percentage.
Maybe. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Who's the fuck's Fescentia? Festinia, might we maybe talk about with you for a second? 'Cause
She
you've
will.
been-
I mean, she's been
quiet.
looking at you the whole time. She'll continue to look.
You've been quiet this entire conversation.
I've talked to her.
Once or twice. She looks at you. Eyes wide.
How do you feel about the situation?
Well, I mean, Marcus said it. He wants to be a commoner with me. I see nothing wrong with that.
Do you see nothing wrong with You and I presume your father, the carpenter, have lived their life as a commoner. Your entire life, of course.
Yes.
It's hard, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it's harder than anyone else's life.
Oh. Okay. You don't
Yeah.
think? Yeah, he's delusional. Okay. Actually delusional.
Walks up to a poor person. So your life's pretty shit, right?
I mean, yeah.
No, that's
Poor
fair.
person
I
would
just-
probably say
No,
yes.
I mean,
Honestly,
it
right?
It depends on who it is.
We,
It
we
depends.
show her the other side of it, right? And then she'll be able
Yeah,
to
that's what
convince
I'm
him
trying
to
to
want to.
do.
Well,
Yeah, base.
we can't do that here, is what I'm saying. You just saying words doesn't mean do anything.
You know,
Well, okay, question. If he does become the senator of this town or region or whatever the fuck, and then we get the governor can just say, like, oh yes, she is officially a senator now, it's all bing chilling, that's fine.
What if he waits until his
So-
dad gets the promotion?
we already
and
talked
does
about this.
I
It's
already
never
said that.
happening.
It's been discussed. The rank is too low. So if he became a quaestor, which is likely what would happen in 5 to 6 years, he would still need to climb 3 ranks up the ladder, which is like basically a lifetime of service to the government to get to the rank of praetor. And then you can kind of do whatever you want. You can kind of marry like a commoner and instantly promote her and her whole family to senators. That's possible. But at his rank, again, without a special thing of the governor, it's not happening.
The governor did say, though, that we could do whatever would make the situation go quietly into the good night.
If you
If
think
we-
that that would make it go away quietly, you can do that.
I feel like if
No.
he
What
gets
if you
whatever,
agreed? What if he agreed to wait until his father got the promotion, then did it?
but he's
'Cause
not.
then he's
That
not
wouldn't
holding
change
up.
anything.
We
His-
basically asked him to do that, and he said
Takes too
no.
long.
yeah. Also, it's that his father wanted.
His father wants this one promotion.
No, he wanted his whole career.
But that won't be enough.
Yeah, he also
Right,
wanted
but
like.
then if this happens right after his first promotion, then it won't be like he's already at the bottom of this rank, right?
Yeah.
So he can't drop much further. He's still at the same spot.
Yeah, he'll still be an ADAL, but any future
He's at the
promotion
rate
will
for-
definitely be closed off to him.
But also, he wants the longevity of his like senatorial family. It's like the bloodline of
But
senators.
his son is gonna abandon him if that happens. It's
Well,
not happening.
that's why he's trying to resist this whole thing. He
Yeah.
wants to keep his bloodline alive. He
That's
fought
what
his
the
whole
issue
life to
is.
get it, and he wants it to
Wait,
preserve it.
So, real question: do we actually care about which side we take here?
I do.
No.
No, I mean like as
Actually, I
judges,
do.
do we care? Does it affect us?
Well,
Well,
we
probably
need
a
to.
little.
I mean, like the governor said, make it not a bunch of hubbub. So
I'm just gonna tell you if this
I
becomes a
don't think
widespread.
it's
If this
gonna be an
becomes,
answer
if we
I can't
sit
hear
here
the
and
DM.
okay.
I was just gonna say if this becomes a widespread known thing, I will tell you this will definitely impact your reputation with different departments because there are some departments which oversee this sort of thing.
and also,
I'm saying if we
making her
immediately
senator would make it very much widespread. There's no way an entire village of 80 people wouldn't spread it to the extended family. They're like, oh, this woman seduced a senator, and now she's a senator too.
One, the
Everybody
senator
there
would
probably about
also
it.
be mad and talk to the governor that he sent judges and they didn't do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's
Well,
like the worst
the
case
right
scenario.
thing is up to our interpretation, right?
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
like-
but there's,
But
like,
I'm saying the
social rules.
senator would say that. The senator is going to argue and moan to the governor about it, and then
True.
the governor will be mad at us.
Can we
Why-
advise them to
why
run
don't
away
we
together?
just spirit him off in the night.
Yeah.
Them
Can
running
we
away
say-
will
No,
also
no,
make
no,
the
no, Renesmee,
senator
you
make a
misunderstand.
fuss.
Like,
we would-
kill him?
we
Kill him.
No, spirit him off away to his father so they can, boot, scoot, and boogie.
Yeah.
That would be
Oh.
one solution, absolutely.
Oh, just kidnap him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what his father
That's
wants you to do.
wonderful.
That's literally what he
Yeah,
wants you to do.
It would solve all of the issues though.
True.
Yeah,
well,
we don't talk about the
yeah.
village, so
This
maybe-
guy's like young and impressionable. He'd probably just kill himself. That wouldn't solve anything.
It absolutely would because he would
I
kill
think
himself
Yogi DM'd
not
me that
here,
exact question.
and then it would
based.
go quietly into the good night.
Jesus
It'd be very quiet.
At that point, we might as well just fucking
That's so
stab him
sad,
here.
though.
Alright, I
but
volunteer.
Those are absolutely not
I've-
the same.
Like,
Oh god.
might as well just kill his wife or whatever.
No, those absolutely aren't the exact same thing. What do you mean?
The
Just burn
results
the
are
village
same.
down, kill the governor.
True.
Move on to the next town.
Fucking destroy the empire, whatever. Who cares at this
Because it
point?
seems like we're not going to convince this kid. And,
Also, real talk, I don't think Father Rix is gonna agree with some of this stuff, so shut up.
to spirit him away in the middle of the night.
What? No, he totally would, right?
Well, you could ask him in character if we step back into character for a moment.
we'd have to discuss this elsewhere. But,
Yeah, because you are currently still standing in front of the.
I mean,
Wait, I still want to, continue questioning the potential
don't-
wife.
I think
Sure.
we're getting diminishing returns here.
We might be able, but we might be able to guilt trip her into saying that she shouldn't be with him.
I think she's already on the defensive enough that you should maybe wait and revisit that.
Yeah.
No, I think we should make a crack.
We can guilt trip.
No.
I think you already tried and you already failed, and it's not
I
going to
think
be
No,
we need.
No, I went down the.
What if we
I was
lie?
touching her kids' gloves, okay?
What?
What if we
You were
lie
touching
to the
kids?
I was
Jesus
touching her
Christ.
kids' gloves. Hold the
Oh
phone.
my god, what is happening this session? Y'all gotta
Yo.
tune your ears. He said. Anyways,
What would happen if we
It
went
is.
to the dad
That's
and we
wild.
told them that we got them married? What do you think would happen?
we went to the dad, told him we got them
Awful
married.
things.
He'd probably be mad. Yeah.
But then we say April Fool after she sees
Yeah.
the
Wait, why would you do
April
April Fools? I don't get it. What's the point?
Because I don't know. I was just
don't we
I'm just throwing out
Oh, okay. I'm
ideas.
not saying you're wrong. I was just asking why.
Yeah, Harkon, why are you shooting down all of our
I'm not
ideas? We
trying
could
to.
do
I'm just
role
asking
playing.
why. I'm sorry.
That's actually Peach does bring up a good point.
Yeah,
let's
we
ask
haven't
him.
quite run
Let's
off.
ask him why he hasn't run yet.
Well, I would love to, but y'all are fucking yelling.
We'll discuss.
Yeah, God.
They're discussing via yelling.
All right.
Hi,
Well,
Peach.
Marcus, I have a question for you.
Marcus will look over.
I guess why haven't you and Facinia run away? You could go to a different town.
I'm
Get
worried
different
my
names,
father would
start
send
a
men
name.
after me. If he doesn't accept our marriage, or if we don't do it in the witnessing of a priest, then he can simply bring us back.
Couldn't you get married in the witness of a priest if you use different names, etc.? I'm just wondering why you haven't done so already.
I don't think it'd be legitimate. There's no priests in our village. We'd have to get a priest from another town to come over. Of course, we've asked for them, but so far, none have wanted to get
I mean, like
involved
run
in this.
away, like run away from the
Yes,
village.
of course. My father would send men after us.
Oh,
He would
What
not simply
about-
accept me fleeing.
And what if you were
see.
to,
Should he?
and I'll say it very quietly, take your death?
I don't know even how to do that.
yeah, that is interesting. But then again, if he faked his death, he wouldn't be able to use his real name. But I don't think that Aurelian Sol necessarily cares what name you use.
No,
in
of
the
course not.
marriage.
How? I have no problems doing it. Me and Fastinia, she could warn her parents. We could get out.
Well, the thing is, if you wanted to get out, and I mean truly get out and be able to start lives anew, be commoners, have children, all of that legitimately, and you wouldn't want your father to find you and take you back or harm that life, you would have to leave everyone behind. It would be the both of you together, and that's it. You would never be able to contact your families again.
They look at each other, and they got that goofy ass like first love fucking looks at each other. They're like, yes, of course.
regret
And
this in, like, 2 months.
Marcus will nod and say, absolutely.
Yesenia?
She nods.
So
and
stupid.
she gives an enthusiastic nod.
Interesting. Well, of course I'm not suggesting that. I'm just wondering why you haven't done it already, you
Well,
know?
I don't know how to. I would if I were given some advice.
I want to cast message at Father Merixian.
Okay.
Get out of my head.
And I'll message him.
I think it's fucking Aurelian Sol.
Like at Rixian, I'll ask him the message. How would you feel about officially wedding these people in a private ceremony, without anybody ever knowing but them, and then faking the death?
I have no objections besides what would the father think.
Well, he'd just think, when I cast it again, he'd just think, they died, running from us or something. We'll initiate a fake chase.
I have a little something to add into this. I'm so sorry,
it's all
but
being
he can't
messaged.
actually respond out loud. So unless he's literally speaking out loud.
Well, he's whispering, right? Surely.
What?
okay.
With
Why
what
can't I
message? But
respond?
the
Yeah,
message
yeah,
can't
with
really
message.
respond.
Yeah, he just has to speak out loud in response.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, which
Sending is the one that lets you
Respond.
no.
Telepathic
Wait,
message.
but no. Message lets you respond, and it
I'm
could only
90%
be
sure.
intended.
I'm pretty sure we checked this a couple
spoken about
sessions
this.
We
ago.
talked about this
Yeah.
before, yeah.
Can reply in a whisper that only you can hear. Yeah, so it has to. Oh wait, it says a whisper.
No, yeah, I can
You
I
respond.
can
can
reply in a
hear.
whisper that only you can hear.
We
Yeah.
said
okay.
Randy couldn't respond because she
No,
can't.
we
whisper.
no, we had the issue that it wouldn't transcend language barriers.
Oh, because okay. So it is mental, but it's a whisper.
Got it.
Okay.
That only he can hear.
Yeah, it's a stage
Yeah.
whisper that
Lips are
nobody else
moving,
hears.
But nobody hears.
Correct.
Got it. I thought he was talking out loud, and I was like, well, that's
That would be
fucking
funny.
awkward.
That would be incredibly stupid.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're sending back and forth these messages.
I just think the deception is a bit odd.
True. Just
I don't see why we wouldn't just marry them and tell the father that he needs to move on with his life and find new children, or
Find new children,
Are
huh?
you saying that out loud?
No, he's
No,
whispering
none of
it.
this is out loud.
Yeah, he's
I don't
supposed
know
to
how long my message response can be. I don't want.
It's just infinite. He can just spam message 30 million times.
fail RP, Yogi, fail RP.
No, it's not filler.
We fail RP!
No, leave him alone.
-1.
So respond. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do that. I don't have an issue with marrying. Like, there's no moral reason I shouldn't do it. I just worry about how we tell the father without
Wait, is
it
none of the,
blowing
isn't
up.
like faking a death like super against the Aurelian Soul
I
stuff?
don't even think we
You know?
need to fake his death. Like,
But
that
it's
seems
definitely
way
not
more
against
dramatic.
Aurelian Soul. But maybe, I mean, it's
Well,
maybe
against, like,
it could
that a
potentially
legal
be
issue?
against a law somewhere. Yeah, but it's definitely
Yeah,
not
like-
against Aurelian Soul.
Oh, I guess Father Rixion doesn't really care about breaking the law? I thought he
What?
was like super strict.
What did I say? Wait, where did you say breaking the law? I don't want to break the law. If it's against the law to fake your death, then I don't want to
Well-
do it. Then.
Oh, me not.
That's why I want to just, if we're gonna marry them, just marry them and tell the dad to, get over it. And we're gonna have to work harder.
I mean-
Yeah, but then that's he's just going to complain to the governor, and then. Like,
Well, then
Father
just-
Rixion
yeah.
bozo isn't religious at all. What the
Had a
hell?
vial of
Sounds like
poison,
we
and
just
that's
need
the
to
only
make sure
way
he
we can
doesn't talk.
stop him from doing it.
Simple as.
we
Say the
just
son was going to kill himself.
All right, hear me out. You
Already
kill
had
all
the vial
you
of
kill
poison.
all the mercenaries and the city.
True.
we just kidnap him in the night
And
and
make him the new
give him to
senator.
his father, and they run off together.
Yeah,
That still solves all the problems.
that does indeed. I think it solves the problems. It's just, is it a satisfactory solution to the problems?
That's not our job as judges.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, you have total deference here. You can do it however you want.
No, I mean,
What would
if,
solve the problem? Sorry.
Just giving Marcus to his dad.
if we're siding with what the Empire is probably going to think, it's just giving the son to the dad. So,
I don't think that
Yes.
Renesmee would be down for that, though. She'll
I
fight
think
you
what
on
we
it.
I mean,
do.
you can argue it out.
I think we
but
say
that's what
that
it's
he's
like.
a priest. Like, I'm the first priest he's seen in a long ass time, and I have the ability to marry him. So he could have just threatened to kill himself unless we did it.
That's what you go tell the dad.
I mean, like,
Also-
it would. I think it would work. I
That's a
think
pretty
that-
strong, pretty strong thing.
That's,
And then if
see,
he
that's
says no
the
anyway,
issue
then we
is
kill
if
the
it
son,
doesn't-
so it looks like he
doesn't
killed
work-
himself.
Yeah, the issue being if the
This
gambit
feels
doesn't.
so extreme.
I mean, I think the core idea of just saying fuck it and just marrying them and then just, like, who cares? Like, it's just a quaestor and just ignore his opinion. You could always do it.
I mean, you're the one that literally told us there will be consequences.
There will be consequences, yeah. That doesn't mean, don't do it.
On the other hand, forcing
Don't
him
do it,
his
Papa.
I
dad
think the
doesn't-
easy
There will be- okay,
solution
yeah, to
with
be
the
clear.
least amount of deaths is just marrying them now. Because
Yeah,
if we
also-
try to
yeah.
kidnap this kid, someone's gonna die.
Also, there is
Just
consequences
now,
no matter
we
what
have-
you do, so it doesn't matter.
It's a bunch of commoners. We have like sleep and like magic.
Do we need anything more than that?
What do you mean what do you mean someone's gonna die?
I didn't know we had to sleep.
It's not like he has guards.
I have another question
What are they
for
gonna
them,
do?
I guess.
Well, the guards would
Yeah.
when they woke up, they would rush the building and probably get killed by mercenaries.
Could be. Peach, what is your question?
Can I ask them in character? Marcus and Festinia, how do you guys feel? Let's say that we were able to marry you both, but what if it was done officially in the eyes of Aurelian Sol, but in secrecy, and you were both sworn to secrecy for the rest of your lives? You could not tell a soul, and then you would have to pretend that you were not married, she was your concubine, but truly you were married.
He'll look at Father Rixion.
I don't know that that works.
Would that work?
I feel like that doesn't work. I feel because he wouldn't be able to get
Well,
married again.
he's asking you. Like, what does Father Rixion say? He's looking to you for guidance. He's not a priest.
Can you have a
You wouldn't be
concubine
able to
without having a
marry- well,
wife?
He wouldn't be able to get married again. So he would never be able to marry officially outside of what we would do. So he couldn't be like, I have an official senatorial wife and her.
But
But
could
can
it
you have a
work?
concubine
But it would-
without a
well,
wife?
it would-
declared him impotent.
Sorry,
So
sorry,
marrying
can
would
he
have
have
no
a concubine
purpose.
without a wife?
Yes, but yeah, he could.
How would we convince the dad to let son bring his concubine with him? I guess, yeah.
Well, if you just
We
say it's a
already asked him,
concubine,
he's
then
fine with a
it doesn't
concubine.
impact him at all. Yeah.
All right, yeah, we can do that.
Now,
You have to
this
be
is up to Father
honest.
Rixion. Do you actually think that would? Do you think that a hidden relationship like that would be enough for the two of them to go to the Trampoline Halls together? Ultimately, that's what Marcus is asking you.
They'd
'cause
be
if it
officially
does-
married, and
I think
as long
so.
as if if they don't get married and she stays a concubine, she's going to not go to the Trampoline Halls.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
I mean, yeah, Marcus will nod and say,
It just means that he can't remarry or.
no, that's
anything.
quite all right. I have no
Wait,
trouble
but
with that.
what about having children with her? Because children with her, and because she's officially just a concubine according to
Well,
everybody
if we produce,
He doesn't
are
care.
there, are there marriage documents? I could produce those documents.
No. We can't
No,
produce
that's not-
documents. That's the problem. There can be no paper trail. We can just call them crazy.
Well, if he kept them.
I guess this is the question, Father
It would
Rixion.
just mean that his
Well, they
children
couldn't have
wouldn't be
they couldn't have
legitimate.
children that way.
Sure.
Because
So
the
Father
children- because they're
Rixion,
bastards.
if they do all the marriage stuff like religiously, so they go through the ceremony, they do all the stuff with you to get fully married. Then they go off and live their married life, and never at any point is there any public documents, filings, and official records. So from an external point of view, all this is screwed. Like she's going to get torn apart by the hounds of oblivion. The children they'll be commoners instantly. But do you think that the religious ceremony will guarantee that all of them go to the Trampoline Halls? If
Yes,
so,
I
then
think so. I think so. Yeah.
yeah, Marcus
I
will
don't
nod and
know.
say, if the father believes it, he looks over at her. They do that thing where like they interlock their
It's
hands
not like
together.
explicitly in the Theologica, right? Like this wouldn't.
No,
be a
this is way too
religion
niche-
check. This is
niche
just what
situation,
Rixion actually believes.
Yeah.
And I think if I marry them, then I've blessed their marriage through
There you go.
Aurelian's soul,
Yeah.
through all of that's an official marriage.
Marcus will nod then. I could do it. Festinia,
Children's
could
life will
you?
be hard.
And Festinia
It
will.
won't be recognized.
That one.
Everyone will think that she's just a concubine. To be clear, like you would
But
have
you
to.
would be able to adopt them, right? You would be able to, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then. But yeah.
Marcus will nod. I accept it.
Festinia, you would have to understand that your children, right, in the eyes of the people that do not know your love, wouldn't be seen as his official children. They wouldn't be senators. He would be a senator in title.
I never
but
cared
you
about
would
them
never
being
be.
senators.
And just as you won't be seen as his wife, you'll be seen nothing more as like a common.
But the Almighty,
Oh.
though. He'll know.
The Almighty will know.
The Almighty will know. And we would not be giving you any official marriage documents that you would have the privileges and protections legally of a normal marriage. It would simply be in the eyes of God.
Well, that's all that matters. And, the
Okay.
two of them will, hug each other, and Marcus will say, can we do it now? Here.
Well, I recommend a place a little bit more private,
Oh.
We are kind of...
Yeah,
Are other people able to hear in on this conversation?
Or who?
No.
There's other people
far
around
away.
us, right?
Yeah, you guys are in the middle of a town square. You've been
Are we
keeping your
not-
tone
are
sort
people-
of down.
Do people hear that
No.
idea?
No,
No.
probably not. I would
Okay.
imagine not.
Then we would need to do this somewhere private, outside of the eyes of people.
Marcus will nod.
Word spreads.
Well, Festinia's uncle has a barn on the edge of town.
Meet us
That-
there tonight.
All
Yes.
right.
And remember, only you two can know. If anyone else knows, then this whole plan could be foiled.
They look positively giddy. And
Cool.
you guys can withdraw.
Based.
Where to?
This is a interesting solution, Desmond.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
No,
all they care
not
about
sure.
is in the eyes of Aurelian Sol, and as long as... The thing that I'm worried about, honestly, is
Good
that they're just going to
compromise.
go around telling everyone that we've married them, but we'll just happen. We'll say that
I mean,
absolutely
I can just deny it.
fucking
It's the
crazy.
word of a judge versus the word of a quaestor's son, so
If the father is okay with it,
is okay with bringing her as a concubine.
We've already asked him, he's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
you didn't ask him. I'm just saying he probably would be because that would instantly negate all of his complaints.
I meant
Did you ask him?
Father Rixion.
Oh.
Oh.
If he says, I'm saying this in character. That's not clear. I sort of assumed that
Continue.
when I addressed Bernesme.
Yeah, that would make sense.
What?
I've been saying all this in character.
Based. Okay, so what are you asking, Father Rixion?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying as long as Father Rixion is okay with it, I suppose I don't have an issue. Just
Of course not. It is
Not
not
sure
the
how I
work
feel
of
about
governors and senators that determine who gets in the Tranquiline Halls. It is that of Aurelian
No.
Sol. And he's omnipotent and omnipresent. He'll see the ceremony. He'll
He will.
recognize it.
Okay.
It is, right? I read it. He is omniscient and omnipresent. And I looked at the
Yeah,
handout.
omnipotent,
I'm
no,
not
but the
making
rest of
stuff
those
up.
are true. Yeah, he's not. Omnipotent would imply he's all powerful, which.
Okay, I don't want to say anything that's not actually true.
Yeah. He
I
is
wouldn't be
omniscient.
adding
Yeah,
stuff.
he knows everything. He sees everything, but he can't
Omniscient.
do everything.
You can't do everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Omniscient.
How can he
Build
know
or
everything
build
and
it,
do
you can't
everything?
live.
What?
He's can't do everything. He's not omnipotent.
Well, but like,
He's just not. He isn't. I don't know what else to tell you. No god is. But yeah, you guys make your way back up the hill. I assume you're gonna rest in the Quaestor's Manor until nighttime comes, or do you want to go sleep in the woods?
I feel like we shouldn't.
Probably the Quaestors. Or, yeah, no, wait, because we have to sneak out. At least I
Yeah.
have to sneak out. So you guys can stay there. I mean, I'm the only one that has to be there.
I'm not gonna go back. I'm gonna stay to make sure that nothing fucky happens, and I want to oversee the marriage.
Okay. So then you guys sleep outside. You go to the edge of the woods outside town. You set up a little campsite. Eventually one of the, mercenaries will come along and he says, "The Quaestors extended an invitation to dinner."
Huh?
The Quaestor has extended an invitation to dinner.
Oh.
yeah.
Thank you, but no thank you.
All right.
What?
Why
I
were we
think
not?
we should discuss with him our progress.
Will we be discussing the fact that we are going to be marrying his son to the
No.
commoner?
Wait, no, that he'll be taking her as a concubine. And he'll be returning to him tomorrow. Isn't that
Oh.
enough? Isn't that what you want to hear?
Oh yeah, I suppose so. Never mind, sir.
Well, yeah, you have to go
Whatever.
catch up to the guard, but yeah, you
Yeah,
jog
yeah.
after him and inform him that you will be joining for dinner. You get, you guys take you don't get like baths or anything, but you do your best to clean up out in the out in your little campsite, and you look about the same. It's not like you have like fine clothes stored for things like this, so you're just in your normal traveling garb, and you make your way to the Quaestor's Manor. The 10 mercenaries are eating their food outside. They're well paid for, clearly. Their meal looks quite tasty. And you head inside, not a master servant, a normal servant, beckons you inside, and you eat around the dining table. It's a hearty spread. Now that you actually had time to prepare, it's all sorts of meats and root vegetables and a fine wine. And the Quaestor, Will, is sitting at the head of the table. It's very quiet in here without, it's literally just him sitting down, so. But-
Sir?
Yeah. You guys enter and he'll stand and say, "Greetings, judges. Considering
Hello.
you haven't been attacked by the mob, I assume it went well."
Yes.
Yes, well, we
Considerably.
come bearing news, kind of.
Well,
Well, sit. We'll begin eating. Well, we've come to a amicable agreement with your son. It seems that he is willing to only take the commoner girl, Pacincha, as a concubine if she were allowed to travel with you and live a life with him, but never officially marry him.
are you
You're
sure
able
he
to-
isn't just trying to sneak around you and get officially married in one of the big cities?
Well,
It
as
seems
far as we
a bit
can tell, he's
silly
being
Do
completely
that
genuine.
privately.
Yes.
Word would travel around. Priests would talk to another priests. I mean, they would probably shout it to the high heavens if they were married. Have you seen the way they look at each other?
True enough.
Is that something that you would be okay with? You would keep
As
your
a
title,
consort?
he would keep
of
his
course.
title.
Yes. How'd you convince
Alright.
him? He seemed very adamant that she not be treated as anything less than his wife.
We had to convince him that social customs are what he was against, and that being afraid of her being a concubine was also a social custom that he would have to go against. If he was truly in love with her, then that kind of thing would have to transcend. It was difficult, and
Well.
it would require also, we did promise that, you know, you would respect their relationship and be kind and gracious towards her, so long as he promised to not take her as wife. So you would have to be respectful, learn her name for one.
As long as he doesn't, as long as he's willing to take another wife and continue to pursue his career, that's all fine.
Yes, well, one day.
I'm sure it'll take him time to find another lover, but it'll get done.
Agreed.
He'll get over it.
It's his first love.
Young love.
Exactly, and he's lucky he doesn't have a child weighing him down.
Yep.
Well, please, let's eat. I'd love to hear what you judges have done. I'm sure you have great stories.
Oh, yes. And we'll
Well,
eat. We'll
yeah.
feast.
You eat and feast. That evening, you guys eat food, head back to your... he has some war stories, but it seems like by and large, you guys generally don't like him. I'm guessing. It seems like I'm getting those vibes. Or am I wrong in those vibes?
I mean, I sympathize with the dude. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of my parents in a little way. It's
Yeah.
like, except my parents were actually there, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I love you as a kid, but also I kind of love you as, like, an extension of me and what I see for myself and my family as, like, this thing.
Yeah.
And you want the kid to be happy, but also you have ideas of, like, right and wrong, and also you care about what people think of you.
Yeah, and for him it kind of fucks him over, too, if his son does that. He loses basically his whole life of trying to get this, permanent position for his descendants. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and he, worked so hard his whole fucking life, and he believes, if he thinks that his son's gonna throw that away, it's like his whole life's work has been thrown away.
Yeah.
So, I don't agree with him. I think that he's, kind of immature for, a fully grown man. But, oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's immature,
Alright.
too.
Yeah, that's also very true. Those guys,
Yeah.
I like that comment by Hecko. They're going to regret this in 2 months, which is probably true. All right, well,
Let's be realistic. These guys are young.
They're so
2
young.
months they're gonna realize that he doesn't put the toilet seat down. She's gonna get annoyed. They're gonna
It's all over. It's over.
It's all over. These boys will never have
So-
children.
I'm assuming to get married, it has to be an official ceremony spell. Is that the legally binding or the religiously
Well,
binding?
the legally
marriage?
binding is a whole different thing. But yeah, for religious binding, yeah, it's a ceremony spell.
Okay, and then if he later down the line is if they break up, the only way to actually redo the ceremony spell is if she's freaking dead. So
Divorces
if they-
in the Mythosian Empire are... Okay, the legal divorces in the Mythosian Empire are very easy. You just go to a place and any party can just do it, easily. But
Okay. The
religiously...
spell, it doesn't work that way.
But yeah, religiously, it's a little bit more complicated. Religiously, there's a lot. The church has to make a lot of concessions to the legality of the empire. We'll just put it that way.
But what I'm asking is if if they break up and he tries to do an actual ceremony, legit, he falls in line with his dad, and it just doesn't take because he's actually still married to her.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Yes.
Or okay. Is there a sign that they're actually married? They'll start glowing or something?
No.
Hey, bozo. Well, they have more AC, don't they?
They get a
Technically,
bonus
yes.
to AC for a week
Technically.
while they're close to each other.
Throw a bunch of just throw a bunch of rocks at them and see if they land.
So true.
Stone the witch.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he also, Tiberius will discuss his time in the military. I mean, he spent a long time in the legions. Actually, Maximus, he's not unlike you. He just spent a lot longer, at each individual rank. He was in the First Legion, a very prestigious one. It's why he got promoted into the senatorial class.
Was he at any of the same battles I was in? The Boyers or
No. He's been a senator for about
Valentine?
10 years now. So he would have fought the last conflict he fought in was the Third Boyers War.
We didn't. Let me look.
I don't think he fought in that
Valentine
one.
War, Pariah.
You fought in the Galentine War.
Yeah. I haven't said that in character yet, though.
He keeps his secrets. The last conflict he fought in, it was that. He fought in the First Legion. Very prestigious, did a lot of good shit, and yeah. So,
Oh.
you...
One more thing.
Yes.
Oh, you know, within the down low, I'll just say that to the father. You might want to be a bit careful, you know, to teach your son to be a bit more careful with the words he uses in public.
Regarding...
Right.
Oh, you mean regarding his relationship with his beloved? Yes, I'll make sure that people know it's a consort, not a...
He did mention, he did say something along the lines of benevolent tyrant.
What does it mean?
It's a common heretical phrase.
Heretical?
Just
No,
be a bit careful what
you
it
must have
means.
misheard, or
Yeah,
perhaps...
he must have picked it up in the wrong company or something.
Yeah, he's a good Aurelian soul-fearing man.
Yeah, of course. He did seem very much Aurelian
Ooh, I
soul-fearing.
remember
Perhaps you could think of bringing a
I knew I remembered that. from
oyster
somewhere.
in at some point.
Are we not?
You mean a priest?
A priest, yeah.
Oh,
'Cause,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if he's hanging
He'll shrug.
around,
Yeah, he'll shrug and say, well, we're headed back to Regia. They have a very fine cathedral there. After what you told me, I'll make sure he has a couple of appointments there. Perhaps even get a dressing down by an inquisitor. I could drive him right.
do
Yeah,
commoners
but-
usually have full names?
Commoners? No.
So
But
she would just be Facentia.
correct. Well, she'd have her mother's name as well. But yeah, mostly just Facentia.
What's her mother's name? Can we pretend like we've asked her that?
You didn't ask her that.
Okay.
So no, we cannot pretend that.
It was a
So,
fake
some
one up. It's
commoners,
actually
some
Erica.
commoners also have family names, but most don't. Basically, in terms of like social strata, there's slaves and priests who both have one name. Then there is commoners with just first name, last name, which their last name is their parents' name. Then you have like high-ranking commoners who do have family names, and then you obviously have senators with their like 30 million mile long names.
What's
So-
the, like official entire name of the emperor?
It's not that long actually. It's literally his regnal title. It's Aurelian Invicta Sol. He gave up all of his old names and instead took the divine name.
How does
So-
that work?
What do you mean?
Like you said, he became.
Yeah.
There was a point where he wasn't the emperor,
Yep.
and then there was a point where he was the emperor.
Yep.
What? How does
How
that
does that
work?
transfer
How
of
do you-
power work?
Well,
How
the
did he
previous
become
emperor,
the
previous emperor died, and his designated successor was his nephew, who was a person with a name, and that person with a
I
name
see.
was coronated as Aurelian Invicta Sol. And Aurelian Invicta Sol has designated his grandnephew as his current heir, and he's currently leading the First Legion.
But who's like the? How does he like transfer the divine powers?
It's a great
How does
question.
that work at all? Was there like a big ceremony of like?
There is a public coronation, but by the time the
were they
emperors
always
get
like
publicly,
latent?
by the time the emperors are publicly coronated, they already have this sort of divine presence to them.
Like the current, you said the nephew in the
Yeah.
First Legion. Does he
Yeah.
already show like signs of divine?
No,
power?
he's a totally normal guy.
I would
No,
imagine
weird.
it's
That's so weird.
kind of like bestowed instantly by the divine himself.
Yeah, like out of character. There's very clearly no divine power here at all.
Whoa! What do you mean? If there was no answer
For the
this,
longest
no,
time,
no,
I
no, no.
believed he was actually like a god emperor. That was
No, answer this for me, liberal. Explain this to me. How did all those spellcasters died at the Calovia Bridge if it wasn't the first emperor, or the second emperor?
Well, maybe the second emperor was a good spellcaster. Maybe he just
Oh
didn't
my
have divine
God,
power.
you sound just like those heretics in Ravinium. That's
I'm just
literally
saying,
what
if
they
he's
said.
omniscient,
Crazy.
he's omniscient.
That's
Does he know how it
crazy.
feels?
Yes, he does, Hecko. I'm answering your question. He does know
Well, I
it.
mean, we're all spellcasters, right? If we had magical items like that fucking rod.
Even,
just
I mean,
feel like-
yeah, you could say it's a
Well, how did
20th.
they do it?
Yeah, out of character, you could say it's a 20th level spellcaster, but even those are mortals. They can still die. The stories about the emperors, if they're true, is pretty fucking wild shit.
Were any of the emperors ever like player characters or player
No,
adjacent characters?
certainly not. No. No, the closest to that is that dwarf that destroyed the Battle of Amon Sound. That was a player character. But so you finish dinner, and I think the last thing we're gonna do this session is Father Rixion, and I guess Renesmee too. I don't really know where Renesmee's going, but she wants to.
Just
So.
because I want to. I'll
Sure,
turn
that's
into
fine.
like a little spider on his shoulder. I'll let him know.
The
I
two
don't
of
want
you-
a spider on my shoulder as I'm.
Yeah, you can just walk with him. Why do you want to be a spider?
Well, because he gets to sneak out.
Out of your campsite, not the house of the Quaestor.
Oh, Yeah. I
Wait,
guess
why
so.
does he have to sneak out of the
He
campsite?
doesn't even have to. Sorry, he can just walk to the thing.
Yeah, we all know he's doing this.
Yeah, okay, anyway, so, Father Ixion, you, alongside Renesmee, make your way to the barn at the edge of town. Half of you kind of expects there to be, like, the woman's family in there or something, like they just instantly blabbed, but you approach and you don't hear any sounds of chatting from inside. It's dark. There's no animal stored in here, and you sort of open up the large double doors of the barn. A tiny bit of light spills out from a torch at the back end of the barn, where you can see sort of like the shadowy figures of two people, and you hear sort of Marcus's voice as your eyes sort of begin to illuminate the interior of the barn filled with hay. Did you get in trouble? Did you get caught? Or are we going to proceed?
We told your father the cover story. He agrees. Or we told him what you will tell him.
Yes. She's my,
Concubine.
It's hard.
Vicentia, what is your mother's name?
Festinia.
Festinia.
Festinia. Festinia.
Your fucking mic doesn't pick up a lot of.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe I'm just not very articulate. Who knows? Her mother's name.
It like fuzzes out when you're doing certain sounds. That's what happens.
Okay. Her mother's name is Plota. P-L-O-A-T.
Right there.
Plota. Plota. With a wacky O sound. Plota.
Plata.
No.
She little plata.
No, she's Plota. Anyways, yeah, she says
Before
Plota.
we do this, can I just gingerly go up to Festinia and hold her hand and like very like while the two boys are talking?
No,
and be
this
like,
is no.
"Are
She
you
doesn't
sure?"
know you. No, I think she'd be very weirded out by a lady judge just walking up to her. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, she'll just stay next to Marcus, and Marcus has dressed up a little bit fancily. You know, he's got a sword at his side, as is seen a very noble, type thing. He has on a nice doublet. Obviously, he wasn't able to like go raid his closet or anything, or he'd have much nicer clothing. She's in a dress that hasn't seen the wear of just usual life. It's probably something worn to festivals or something like that. Her hair is all braided up. And Father Rixion, you can basically do this whole ceremony by the light of your one glowing eye. So,
all right.
What do you do? There's no specific words spoken in a Aurelian Soul wedding ceremony. It's basically
due to Peach's hard work, I do have something prepared.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's basically up to individual priests, the specifics of it.
Okay. I'll say it.
Yeah.
They'll be walking, or it's me and then them two, and then whatever Renesmee is doing.
He's there.
I'll just be beside them or beside him, like bowing my head.
And I'm just in like priest clothes. I'm not in my plate armor or anything crazy.
Yeah.
In this intimate and sacred moment, we gather in the presence of the great Aurelian Soul, the radiant deity who blesses our world with divine light. Today, Marcus Tiberius Gnaeus Regia and Festinia Plota, I stand before you as a witness to your profound love, ready to unite your hearts in holy matrimony. Know that in this private ceremony, the eyes of the Almighty are upon you, and his divine flame shines upon your union. May this radiance illuminate your lives, guiding you with wisdom, strength, and everlasting loves. By the authority bestowed upon me, I declare that you, Marcus and Festinia, are forever bound in the eyes of Aurelian Soul. May your commitment be unwavering, your devotion steadfast, and your love eternal. In each other's presence, may you find solace, joy, and unwavering support. As you journey together, may your love deepen and grow, blossom like a constellation that graces the night sky. Let your spirits intertwine, your hearts beat as one, and your souls become inseparable. With the blessings of Aurelian Soul, I now pronounce you husband and wife. May your intimate bond be a testament to the enduring power of love and the divine connection between two souls. Seal your union with a tender kiss, knowing that you are forever united in the divine eyes of the Almighty.
Marcus looks at you to see if you're done.
Yeah, I'm finally done.
No, it's fine. The two of them will kiss and hug. Marcus is crying. Festinia is not. And Severus, bro, be nice. And they will. No, it's all right. People talk a lot. I don't mind listening to you guys. People talk. They will hug, and when they withdraw, Marcus is just he's a wreck. He's just a little goofball, crying and sobbing, and he's all fucked up and shit. Festinia is she's mostly good. She's pretty good, and she will give a deep bow of thanks to you, Father Rixion. And the two of them withdraw from the barn. They don't really say much else to you, because it's still going to be hard. I mean, it's still going to be a really awkward relationship, but hey, could have been worse. So they will withdraw from the barn. You guys can return to your camp. I think when you get there late at night, Maximus is probably on watch. You know, I think it's just like an instinct to stay on watch even when you're in the relatively safe region of Regia. Father Rixion, how do you feel? Have you ever officiated a wedding before? You're more of a, like, murdery type priest.
It's probably happened. I think that I'm mostly murdery against people that are anti-Aurelian Soul. I
Well,
think
of course,
I've got
yeah.
a soft side with,
He
like...
quoted a heretical text. He could be anti-Aurelian Soul. You don't know.
Well, then he'll go to the Hounds of Oblivion, you know?
But he seemed to care so much about being married under the eyes of Aurelian Sol.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be seen as a heretic. Triple S.
Well,
So
then why does he
true.
care about being
Yeah,
married
he, like,
this
cares.
way, right? Like,
Yeah.
then he wouldn't even care about marriage.
Because then people wouldn't doubt him. He's
But
So
he's
true.
doing
it
If he
Dota's
wasn't-
memeing.
if he
Dota's
wasn't married
memeing.
under
Okay.
Aurelian Soul, it would be way more suspicious.
Dota's
right?
memeing right now. Dota's memeing.
I think something deep down tells him that Aurelian Soul is there, and he
Yeah.
wants to, like, just hedge his bets.
Yeah. And technically, a reminder, there once was a republic, the Reginian Republic, that was a democracy and also worshipped Aurelian Soul. Now, technically, with the modern Verusian Creed, giga-heretical, evil, blah, 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 but for many hundreds of years, that society did exist.
Well, and now his path to end up doing that maybe eventually is still open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
So, you guys get some sleep. It was a long day. It was a very, very, very long day. You rode to Regia, then you rode northward, then you did all this shit, then you got married at like midnight, then you finally went to bed. Very long day, got a lot done. And with that,
God bless.
we move to April 18th. You guys get 2,000 XP each, and we won the session.
Nice.
Oh, it's just shy 400 XP.
I'm doing it just to fuck with you at this
That's
point.
crazy. Imagine not having enough. That's wild.
All right. I think. Let me double check.
I haven't
next
had a
week.
chance to do a solo session. It's not fair.
Damn. Well, you should talk to me about a Granny solo session then.
I don't
I'm
even
good.
know what we do.
Exactly.
Go back to Athel Loren.
Isn't that,
Yeah.
isn't
No,
that your job, Alex?
that's the end game for Granny.
I'm good for next week, so we should be able to do usual time. I think that's all I got. Oh, pause champ. Well, we'll do the
Yes.
scheduling. Yeah, we'll do the scheduling later. This is sort of what we'll be doing for the next couple weeks. It's not just this type of thing, but it's like a variety of different judge-like things. You're actually going to be judges. It's going to be a bunch of stuff like that. So I'll see you guys next week.
Way to crucify some heretics.
Oh God, I'll see you guys next
I hope
week.
so.
Talk to
Oh
you
my God.
later. Bye.
Some violence would really interrupt.
This session was